ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
It's all on the line. Here we go.
And the moment of truth has arrived.
What a matchup this is. What a game.
The umpire holds the footy up.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on earth.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Oh, there's a bit to get excited about. The intensity and the pressure in the ball is unbelievable. Take your moment. This is that moment of the game of footy.
This is just football at its best.
And that'll be it. From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop, the Brisbane Lions never stopped believing. And they are the champions.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
He's called the river a magnificent goal.
Comes out, Gunners, snaps, goal.
An extra bit of class.
He smashed that through. What a kick.
Goes bang with everything he's got.
They are leaving nothing out there.
Listen to the roar.
The drop punt. He's gone. And the building is jumping. We know he's a big shot taker. He's a big shot maker. Leans back on the kick. Game on.
That camera action, baby. Countdown and contact.
From the right forward on it. Oh, he's a sharpshooter, all right.
Step up in the big moment.
Close to the man on the mark. Drop punt. He's there. Gathers. Snaps. He'll bring the house down.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
He'll put it on the boot. Kick up towards the logo.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than
He
this.
defies the laws of gravity.
He runs onto it 50 from goal. He's in Dusty's pocket. He shoots. Oh, he's as bloody good as Dusty. Oh, yeah.
Rose snaps goal. The drop punt. It's good. And you can hear that body roar.
See, cause it don't get better than this.
Ball's one way, and the next, and the snap. There's the finish. 60 out. Oh, my goodness. That's a massive kick. Big time spot. Big time goal kicker. That's why we love football.
Brilliant to watch.
From the centre wicket. Whacks it for six. Scores level.
Running pass. Throws it on the left. Could that be the sealer?
Seconds ticking down. We're not done yet. What a finish.
Welcome to the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport. On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, cause it don't get better than this.
Hello and welcome to Titletown. That's what they're telling me it's called in the wake of South Australia's drought-breaking Shield triumph yesterday. Today, the state turns its attention to a team with their own drought, the Adelaide Crows, who have gone 27 long years without saluting. Appropriately, today they meet the team they did on that day in 1998, North Melbourne, who have been in purgatory for only one less year. The Adelaide Crows drought is now the biggest of any of the state's major sporting teams, but they've shown signs they might be able to change that, albeit through just 2 games of this AFL season. We're at the salubrious Adelaide Oval. Ben Cameron, Tom Wilson, Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco and Liz Walsh to bring you all of the action today. It is tremendous to be in the City of Churches the day after, the night before, and I welcome in Tom Wilson, who is appropriately dressed in a one-day domestic champs shirt today. Tom, great to see you. T-shirt Tommy, we can call him fittingly here today. What a night it's been for South Australia.
It's really unbelievable. Going back to March 1 when they broke the drought in the one-day comp, they did that quite convincingly. And in the end, it was quite convincingly yesterday at the Sheffield Shield at Karen Rolton Oval. Just the pictures, the fans, the scenes. It's just sport means so much right across the country to all Australians, but especially South Australians. And I know Josh Franco will be able to speak to this. We're so parochial here. We get behind our teams, we get behind our events, and the support for this cricket team that's been starved of success to win both domestic trophies, and especially in the emphatic fashion they did yesterday. It was super special and just a proud moment for everyone in South Australia who loves their sport.
It was very cool to watch. I mean, I was so envious not to be there yesterday, seeing the fans flood the ground after Jason Sanger hit the winning runs. There was some gentleman who stole a stump and then was chased by security. They flooded from all directions. The scenes were like something of yesteryear. It was like the 80s or 90s, wasn't it? And what I loved is, given we're on ABC Sport, and Darren Lehman is our senior expert, Boof Jr. scoring a century in a Shield final. It just felt right.
It did, and he's made 3 straight centuries to finish the season, including that. So he was so important in their win over Victoria, which secured the home final. Then a century against Queensland, and then another one in the final. I mean, Queensland had been bowled out for 95, so clearly it was difficult to bat on in those in the first day. But he went out there, starred in that first innings. And, you know, look, it's been a team that's been built from players from around the country, the best players, some who are, you know, I don't necessarily like the term recycled, but have found a new home in South Australia and have emerged into star players who will certainly be floating around the Australian squads. But 2 of the SA boys, Jake Lehman, 100 in the first innings, and Alex Carey coming in at 3 for 28. What a summer he's had, not just for South Australia, but for Australia, and to cap it off with the Shield yesterday with that performance was outstanding.
And little known fact as well, Darren Lehman actually presented Tom Wilson with his first grade cap many, many years ago in local cricket here in South Australia.
I thought you were going to say he presented with his T-shirt.
he might have done that as well. Josh Franco is here, one of the premier experts in South Australia and across the country. As a proud Crow eater, what did you make of it yesterday, Josh?
Look, I will say I'm not an avid cricket follower and fan, but as Tom said, I'm a parochial South Australian and like to see the South Australian sporting teams do well, and a fantastic result. And what was it, 29 year? Broke the drought, so fantastic result. It's good.
I did meet Peter McIntyre over the course of the summer, and legendary stories of him being there to stave off WA at the end of the last Shield triumph. No longer a part of the last winning Shield team in South Australia is Peter McIntyre. But we can move on from that and talk about the Adelaide Crows and the parallels here, because like I said off the top, all of a sudden they have the longest drought of any of South Australia's domestic major sporting teams. So 1998, and like I said, fittingly they played against North Melbourne that day. So it's been a little bit of a wait for the Adelaide Crows, Josh.
Absolutely it has, and I guess the irony of hearing the 27 years is it feels like it happened yesterday. It's amazing where those 20-odd years have gone. And look, also interesting, and tracking Adelaide over the last 5 or 6 years. I was there as an assistant coach in 2018, I think it was. And ever since then, obviously they made the grand final in 2017. The infamous Cam, I reckon, put the Crows back quite a few years, and they're just starting now to recover from that. Their list looks really good in terms of what it looks like on paper compared to what it looked like last year with those 3 inclusions of Neil Bullen, Pete Ling and Isaac Cummings. So they look a different outfit. We've seen the first 2 games, but the big question is, are they the real deal? Called the game a couple of weeks ago against St Kilda here at Adelaide Oval, and St Kilda were horrific. Adelaide were very good. So it was hard to get a gauge. Obviously, absolutely blew Essendon off the park last week. Today's a different proposition. We see a new look North Melbourne side who are a lot more competitive. But are the Crows the real deal? I think they are. But still some questions to be answered.
I want to throw one up here today early on before we get too much into the nitty-gritty of these 2 teams and the match, and we'll go inside both camps. Jack Homschen, assistant coach at the Crows, and Lee Adams from North Melbourne as well with Liz Walsh. The Malcolm Blight Cup, it exists for when South Australia play Victoria in State of Origin. State of Origin has gone the way of the dodo, unfortunately. Could it be restored for this fixture in the absence of State of Origin? Malcolm Blight, a proud South Australian who went over to Victoria, performed admirably for North Melbourne, made really his national name at North, and then coached the Adelaide Crows to their only 2 flags in the national comp. Could the Malcolm Blight Cup be dusted off from whichever closet it's in at AFL House and used for this fixture, just to make it a little more sexy, Josh Franco?
Can I ask you a question? If you asked Malcolm Blight that, what would he say?
He'd say definitely use it for both.
Yeah, absolutely he would.
Yeah, you could put the scarves out the front of his statue out there that he's got, kicking the torp. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. He was called the Messiah here, and I know you know him more than anyone in this box, but the amount of stories about his different coaching styles. I mean, he was at Geelong with an amazing team and got to 4 grand finals, I think it was, at least 3, and couldn't get over the line, and then came along to South Australia, to Adelaide, and cleaned out the list and managed to win back-to-back flags, one of them being from outside the top 4, which is very rare these days.
Quite incredible. I mean, we saw Brisbane do it last year, but outside of that, it just doesn't happen, does it? So you're exactly right, Tom. But his statue doesn't have a ball in his hand in the kicking motion. And I asked him, I said, why doesn't it have a ball in your hand? He said, it's 95 metres down the road, Ben. So he loves telling his old stories to Zab Blighty. It is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. A shout out to him and Patsy, who I know will be listening as well. But I like the Malcolm Blight Cup. Bring it back for this fixture. It is a great opportunity to bring in the 5th member of our team downstairs, Liz Walsh, who is ready to catch up with Jack Homsch, one of the Adelaide Crows assistant coaches. Liz.
Thank you, Ben. That's right. I'm joined down here by Crows defensive coach Jack Homsch. Jack, thank you so much for joining us. Overall, you must be really pleased with the start to the season that you've had. It's been really impressive. Can you kind of pinpoint for us, the main changes in the side from this time last year? Obviously, you were winless until round 5.
Yeah, I think there's a number of factors. Obviously, having a healthy list at the start of the year, it's a credit to our high-performance team to get so many boys through pre-season and to have such a strong list to choose from. So that's certainly been really important for us, and I think it's just another little bit of marginal gains for every player across the board. Last season, as we all know, was disappointing, but guys got opportunities to develop their games, and you go through another pre-season, your body gets hardened a little bit more, and we've been able to roll some of that positive momentum through to the start of the year, which is really pleasing.
A big strength has also been your ability to hit the scoreboard. Riley Philthorpe, Josh Rochelle, these players are having great starts to their season. But you've also had 12 individual goal kickers 2 games in a row now. What's clicking up forward? Yeah,
they're a good group. They celebrate sharing the ball around inside 50, and it's a big part of their identity as a forwards group. And as well, having midfielders hit the scoreboard too. Every team, you want to try and challenge opposition with some mids who can go forward and hit the scoreboard. So, it breeds energy. We've talked a lot about that, about just bringing our own positive momentum, and the only way, one of the best ways to do that is to have multiple goal kickers and let everyone join in on the fun.
12 is a lot though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I don't imagine that would be the case every week. That's certainly not, yeah.
Looking to your opponent today, playing North Melbourne, they are coming off an impressive win over Melbourne. What's your intel telling you about their strengths today?
Yeah, they've been really impressive to start the season off. Obviously, you're focusing on last week's game. They played against Melbourne, and the biggest thing that stands out is their contest and their want for the contest. And you look at some of their midfielders and the strength that is for them, and then some of the senior players they've brought in across each line, like Caleb Daniel, Luke Parker and Jack Darling, and each line's given them a lot of experience, and they're all really key players for them as well. So certainly going to be a battle in that space today, and obviously it's beautiful conditions, so there's no excuse. You're going to have to crack in to win the game of footy.
Looking down at your back line, I was reading that the Kangaroos are actually ranked number 1 in the competition so far this season for offensive one-on-ones. You're the defensive coach. Give us some insight into how you're going to combat that today.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on the contest across the ground, but that's probably even more so down our end of the field in their forward line. And Larky, Zerha, Darling, Curtis as well is another one who, for a small forward, competes quite strongly in the air. So, look, it's finding a balance of knowing absolutely that's a weapon of theirs, and then you've just got to find a way to bring the best out of your players. And, we understand that it's going to be a battle, but we got trust and faith in our players that we put a lot of work in, and they're in a good position to be able to compete in that space today.
Looking still back in your defence, obviously James Borlase is coming in for Nick Murray. Can you talk us through that decision? He's coming in ahead of, maybe a Jordan Bartz or a Brodie Smith.
Yeah, look, it's obviously every selection decision's really tough when you've got a healthy list to pick from and guys who are in really good form. And with Muzz going down this week, it was, a like for like, so we wanted to bring a key defender in, and it's a credit to James, his pre-season he's had, and probably even the way he finished last year, full pre-season, and he's playing on the likes of Riley Philthorpe, Tex and Fogg at training all summer, and the way he's applied himself in that and the way he stood out at training, it's a reward for his effort and his continual growth. So we're really confident. You know, disappointing to lose Muzz because he's an important player for us, but Boz will come in and we know exactly what we're going to get from him. That's the competition.
The team's celebrating a really important milestone today for Rory Laird, his 250th. He's now sitting 12th in the most games played for the Adelaide Football Club. Tell us what he means to this team.
Oh, he's impressive. We just went through it in the rooms there and he just sort of had a bit of a chat and he was acknowledged in the change rooms. And yeah, it's a story of a rookie listed player and he's done it the hard way. And I think his accolades speak for themselves. He was all Australians in his jackets. He's won for the club, but he's such a level-headed character, and I think even his ability to start as a defender, play a lot of midfield, and then the way he's been able to grasp and embrace coming back and helping out a pretty young back line, which we've got down there at the moment, he's been great. So, I played a little bit of junior footy with him and played against him a bit. So now coaching him, he's been great for me. So he's brought in. So it's been really impressive.
I did want to ask you about that move back for Laird. Is it too early to say it's a success, or you're pretty sure this is the right move for the team?
Oh, it's a long season. It's probably too early to label anything a success across the competition. But I'd say the fact that he's played there before and he's shown how good he was, obviously with the All-Australians, I think we were pretty confident that he knows what he's doing back there, and it's a logical move. And all of our players, we just got to make sure we can stay in form and we keep fronting up, and end of the season, hopefully we can say great year.
Alistair Clarkson talked about his side not being afraid of a shootout today. You're the defensive coach. Is that something you're afraid of?
I'd like to avoid that, absolutely. I know there's a little bit said throughout the week about our offensive power and do we value defence, and absolutely internally we do. So we value it highly, and we don't want to take games to a shootout because you don't win too many across the course of the season and you leave yourself open and exposed a little bit. So defence is a massive focus for it, and no doubt with their forward line, they're pretty strong and high-powered. So, it's going to be a challenge, but we value it, and something will be really important.
Jack Hompsch, thank you very much for joining us on ABC Sport today. All the best.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Great work downstairs. At risk of exhausting all of our Malcolm Blight mentions in the pre-game, it did feel like the Adelaide Crows might go with that approach, Josh, of, you score 100, we'll score 120, but good to hear Jack Hompsch there. I'm sure as a former coach yourself saying, no, we value defence.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and even reading some quotes, I think, from Alistair Clarkson this morning, that he has exactly the same philosophy. If you want to go into a shootout, you might win some, but you're going to lose a lot as well. So no doubt all coaches, all assistant coaches throughout the AFL system are looking to defend well and then try to get their ball movement off the back of really strong defence. And we saw Adelaide last week, and I guess at the end of the day, you sort of think, gee whiz, how good are they offensively? But they haven't actually been tested defensively from the opposition they've come up against. But no doubt they value defence, as we heard from Jack Hompsch, and I think it's going to be a real key factor from both sides today. Who can defend well, restrict the other side from scoring will go a long way to getting the victory.
It is Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Those were the thoughts of Josh Franco, 3 times a showdown medalist. It is the Crows and North Melbourne about to go head-to-head. No late changes for either side. Sid Draper, the sub, again like he was last time out for Adelaide, while for North, Dylan Stevens will start as their sub. Just on the offense of the Adelaide Crows, it is 296 points through the opening 2 games, which is the most by any team through their opening 2 fixtures since 2013. So they can run up a cricket score, so to speak. Cricket has been on our lips today, but they've certainly been able to do that.
Absolutely, they have. And the thing I really liked about them, and probably referencing more the St Kilda game a couple of weeks ago, is they're happy to build the ball up in their back half if there's numbers ahead of the ball. But if there's a turnover inside the Adelaide Crows defensive 50, the opposition forward line, and they are able to get speed on the ball, look out. And they have such a dynamic forward line in Thilthorpe, who's your big gorilla down there that can mark one-on-one. Tex is a known lead-up forward. So is Fogarty, but Fogarty can also crash a pack. But it doesn't stop there. You look at the smalls at ground level. Rochelli's, I reckon, just starting to hit his straps. Rankin gives speed ahead of the ball. Keys is dynamic as well. They're a hard matchup ahead of the footy.
Yeah, there's a lot to like for the Adelaide Crows, and we know it's been a long drought, not just without winning the flag, but without playing any finals as well. And I said on the Siren last week, it might just be in the nick of time for their coach if they can play finals this year. We should shout out Rory Laird. 250th. He's done it the hard way off the rookie list. 3 gold jackets as the Malcolm Blight medalist. at the Adelaide Crows. He's a phenomenal player and has been for a long time for them.
What a great story. And how many rookie-listed players do you hear of that they can't get on the main senior list right from the get-go? They have to work through the rookie list, earn their stripes, but he's a terrific story. The other thing as well, having, I guess, met and known and coached him personally, he's just a terrific lad. I guess spent a lot of time in the midfield in the last few years. Now they have the depth in there. He can go back where I reckon he's more at home as a defender. His ability to get on that loose ball, hit targets and set up play from the defensive 50 is phenomenal. He's a star.
What a luxury that they can do that. And it's sort of, they had an issue a couple of years ago, which we saw Matt Crouch fall out of the side, who's back in there now and starring, and I know you gave him 3 votes in the first game of the year, Josh, so it sort of meant that they don't have that issue as well, having those 2, I guess, ball-winning players. Not that that's a disadvantage, really, but we've seen him be able to be an All-Australian across half-back and a superstar through the midfield. Not many players are able to do that, and he's just got longevity written all over him, doesn't he? He's such a professional player, getting to 250. Doesn't really look like he's slowing down at any time soon. And what's exciting for the Crows is you've got him, you've got Tex, probably in his last year, but Matt Crouch as well. They're getting this second crack at it, and they probably didn't think that would happen for them. And they've got this rejuvenation, and they've been there before, so they can coach these young stars coming through.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned Matt Crouch, and we were talking off air, Ben. I had this stat, which I reckon is the absolute perfect way to sum up Matt Crouch's game. So he's averaging 7.7 metres gained per possession, so only 7 metres, which I guess in the modern game you think that's not having an impact on the game. He's the lowest in the top 100 for disposal in that stat, but he's third in the competition for assisted metres gains at 492 metres.
So the next possession is the long one.
Yeah. So you talk about, is there a spot for a Matt Crouch in the modern game? Absolutely. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Because we all speak about great reference from a few good men as well. I like that. But we always speak about the modern game now. It feels like it's moved again where it's all about speed. By either ball or by foot, you've got to be moving the ball. So Crouch isn't necessarily either of those things, but he gets it to someone who can then do that and hurt you, Josh. I'm pleased to welcome in the man who has timed his runabout as well as his old horse, Jambo Jet. Was it a horse or was it a dog?
It was a trotter.
It was a trotter. I went there.
But it
the
won,
third of 2 options.
But it won 11 in a row.
Did it?
Ben,
so this
Tom.
was a trotter that you used to own with a few of your Adelaide teammates?
Yes, it was. It was David Pittman and Darren Jarman, Ben Hart, Nigel Smart, and it won 11 in a row.
Yeah.
It was flying. And then it went to Perth, and the story doesn't end all that well after that, so we won't go into that.
Yeah, we won't go into that. Great to see you. Great to see you. What have you made? We're going to talk about North Melbourne in a moment, Kangas fans, so don't stress too much. But what have you made of the opening 2 rounds from Adelaide? Are they real or are they a burner account in your mind, Rod Jamieson?
Josh, good afternoon, everyone. Look, I still would like to see a little bit more of them, but I think they're certainly where I'd like them to be. And I think I heard Josh talk about earlier, Isaac coming to the team, Peatling, Alex Neil, these guys, I don't know if we've had a time at the club where you've actually had players are either on the improve and going well and starting to hit where they want to be, and then you brought in that talent and they're all playing football at the same time. And then Sid Draper comes in and just elevates himself too from the SNFL last year. And you got Miller coming back from injury, Thilthorpe coming back from injury. I think it's as good as I've seen an Adelaide team for probably since 2017 when they made it to the granny.
Is it fair to say that in terms of recruiting and trading and looking to bring players in, forget about the A-pluses? Like Neil Bullen, Peatling coming, they're not, no disrespect, they're not A-pluses currently. They might develop into that, particularly Cumming and Peatling, but you don't have to go out and target the absolute superstars. Bring in on a needs basis to then complement what you've got. And the Crows have done that superbly.
Well, I think it's a little bit like a Moneyball thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Where you're bringing in, like, so Alex Neil-Bullen's played 170-odd games and he's a premiership player, and but he's come into this team and gone straight into the leadership group. Yep. So in a short space of time, he's had an amazing or a significant influence on the group that they've all gone, hey, well, this guy's pretty good, let's get him in there.
It's almost the Robert Walls theory as well. Like, I almost feel like it raises the floor of your bottom 6. So, it's another few players. They're not in the bottom 6, those guys that have come in. But it sort of means that there's a few more spots in the middle which brings up the floor, which does help you in those big finals. Rod Jamieson, the former Adelaide Crow and owner of the 11 in a row race-winning trotter Jambo Jet, and Josh Franco, 3-time Showdown medalist, with us on Sunday Footy here on ABC Sport. Ben Cameron, Tom Wilson to call all of the action, and downstairs Liz Walsh is with the next of our guests, Lee Adams, an assistant coach at North Melbourne. Liz.
Thank you, Ben. That's right, I'm down here with North Melbourne midfield coach Lee Adams. Lee, welcome to Adelaide. It's a bit of a difficult venue for you. You've played at this ground 11 times, never had a win. How much does that play on your mind, and what potentially makes today the day that you break that?
Well, firstly, they've turned the weather on for us, so there's no excuses from a conditions point of view, that's for sure. And yeah, we're well aware of our history over here, and I think I might have actually played in the first one, and that was a fair loss there too. But clearly over that time, we've probably, as a football club, probably not been at our best, and we feel that we're finally in a position where we can start to challenge and hopefully change a few of these records. And clearly coming off a really good win last week, and we're hoping to carry that momentum into today.
Well, that's exactly my next question, was you're coming off a convincing win, and what are the main things from last week's win that you bring here against Adelaide?
Yeah, well, we know we're going to have to be the absolute best today, because obviously the Crows are in some really good form. But we felt last week that we were able to clearly get on top from a contest and a clearance point of view, and once again we feel like that's a really strength of ours. So we're going to need to be really strong in that area of the ground, and our defence is going to have to be really spot on as well, because clearly the Crows have been able to put up some big scores in the last couple of weeks. So they're going to be two real focus areas for us today, and if we can compete really hard in that clearance contest game, we feel like we'll be in good stead.
You're going into the game unchanged. That stability must feel good.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to just roll from week to week with clearly not getting any injuries, which is a credit to our strength and conditioning team. We're in a really good spot with a lot of availability, which is great. And clearly when you win and win the way we did last week, we want to try and keep that stability. So hopefully we start to get some more pressure from the guys in the twos that start to push their way in. But if we continue the way we are from last week, hopefully we can go in unchanged again.
You touched on it before, but Adelaide are the highest scoring team so far from 2 rounds. Is that the biggest challenge you face against this Crows team?
Yeah, I think so. Their ability to make the ground big and wide and use those uncontested marks, and then clearly they've got some big scoring threats up forward with the big keys up there, and obviously Rochelle's quite dangerous as well. So, yeah, if we allow them to have too many inside 50s today, it's going to be a real battle to keep that score down. So our midfield's going to have to do a lot of work to make sure they don't get that supply that they need, and if they can do a job there, we feel like we'll be in a good position.
Well, as the midfield coach, can you give us some insight into how you tackle this midfield today? Is Jordan Dawson the number one target?
Oh, you can take your pick in there. They're all in really good form at the moment. Clearly, Matt Crouch is doing a lot of good work inside the contest as well, and anytime Isaac Rankin's around the football, something good tends to happen. So we'll take a team approach of having our 7 or 8 midfielders go through there and hopefully overwhelm them with numbers. But, if we need to feel like one of them's getting off the chain at some stage, we may need to settle them down, but there's a few options in there that we might have to stop.
The ruck battle looms as an interesting one too, Cherry versus O'Brien, both coming off big games last week. Cherry was, potentially the best on ground for you last week against Gawn. How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a crucial matchup. Obviously, Tristan's been in really good form in this first start of the year, but Riley O'Brien's probably had his number over the last couple of years. He's obviously probably a really underrated player, I think. He tends to get his job done each and every week. So clearly we need Tristan to get the points on that one, but understand that although we played against a really good player in Max Gawn last week, it doesn't get any easier this week.
The experience that you've added into your side this year, Jack Darling, Luke Parker, Caleb Daniel, it's almost 800 games of AFL experience between them. How vital has that been to your season this year?
Yeah, I think even as far back as pre-season, obviously when you get all guys that have been All-Australian and also been premiership players, their ability to come in and set standards on the field, and probably the main thing that we've taken out of them is we've actually been doing a lot right, and the vindication our players get from premiership players and captains and All-Australians coming in and actually just saying, boys, we're doing a lot right here, and we just need to grow as a group together. It's been fantastic. And then clearly when we get in positions like we do last week to win, which clearly our young guys haven't been in for a while. Their steady heads has been instrumental. And the plus side of it is that they're all playing great footy as well.
And a very special milestone today for Alistair Clarkson, 600 games as player and coach. Has the coaching group taken any moments this week to sort of reflect or celebrate that at all?
I had no idea that was
well, there you go.
There you go. Clearly means he's been around for a very long time. I was a little bit too young. I missed his playing career, but obviously I followed his coaching career very carefully. But as Clarko would want, it's squarely on making sure we get the 4 points today, and all individual accolades will be put to the side.
Lee, thank you very much for joining ABC Sport.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Lee Patch Adams downstairs with Liz Walsh a short time ago. Just having a chat there about how things would function this afternoon. Josh Franco, a lot of people probably wouldn't know this, but at Port Adelaide, you actually played under Alistair Clarkson when he was the midfield coach there. What are your memories of Clarko, the coach, during that time?
He was fantastic. And I remember he came in, he was coaching Central Districts the year before. He was appointed as a midfield coach for Port Adelaide with Mark Williams when he was at the helm, and he was brilliant, very organised, attention to detail. He was a terrific bloke. I remember coming in on your days off, and he was always willing to go out and do extras with you, and no doubt his progression in the AFL and the success he had at Hawthorn, that'll translate into success here at North Melbourne eventually, somewhere down the line.
Do you remember any personal stories that stand out for you with, you know, what he was like?
Yeah, look, I remember back in 2003, and that was his first year there, did all pre-season with him.
Yep.
And I remember I did my knee, I was in hospital, had my knee reconstruction, and he was the first coach in there and spent, 3 or 4 hours just sitting there talking. So,
wow.
Yeah, a terrific guy, showed a lot of care for his players, and, I guess that's a highlight for me of Clarkson, not on field but off field, and I guess, the level of detail that he brought to his coaching.
Thoughts of Josh Franco, 3-time showdown medalist on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. If you're joining us late, no late changes for Adelaide and North Melbourne. Sid Draper, the sub for the Crows. Dylan Stevens for North Melbourne. Rory Laird celebrating a milestone, game 250 off the rookie list. 3 times the best and fairest, and he is the 12th Adelaide Pro to get to that milestone in terms of club games. The Kangaroos, did they turn a corner last week? I did that game against Melbourne, and it was certainly one of the better performances I've seen from them in a long time. How did you see it, Rod Jamieson?
I thought they were tremendous. I thought, again, when you reflect, you probably look at Melbourne and go, well, they're not going as well, and it was an okay win. But I thought that last quarter where they kicked 8 goals in pretty much close to 10 minutes of the first half of that last quarter, they just blew it open. And I guess the players that Liz just spoke as well to patch about that have come to the club, and again, not dissimilar to what we're talking about with Adelaide too, with the quality that's come. But for me, I remember up in Gather Round, and it might have even been with you when we were up there, we did I reckon it was a Kangaroos Brisbane game.
We did.
And Charlie Comben was up there, and I reckon he kicked 3 or 4 goals or something in that day, and you just go, okay, this kid's got something about him. But for me, he's been on the list for 6 years, and he's only played 30 games. He's had horrific injuries.
23 or 24 broken bones. He can't remember, because when you get to over 20, it's pretty hard to keep count.
Yeah. So at 199 centimetres, he's only 23, and he took 12 marks last week in defence. So they've sort of found his role and he's found his niche. Now, you've got that type of player that's coming up, and Sheasel's just a star. Zerha looks like he's dropped some weight and he's presenting really well, and he's strong and he's angry. Paul Curtis, I heard the other day on radio that he bench press like 170 kilos.
That's 140.
Was it?
That was us talking about that.
Was it?
But 140's big. He only weighs sort of mid-80s.
Well, we're not allowed to see what he weighs anymore. But
yeah, we don't have that on the champion data sheet. But that was us talking about that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is
Thanks
crazy.
for listening.
I'm always listening. Hey?
Good man, Jam.
Can I also throw one other player in? So obviously Jack Darling's come.
Yeah.
You would say past his absolute prime, but what he allows is Larky.
Yeah.
He's a genuine star of the competition. Living here in South Australia, probably don't get as much news about a Larky as we potentially will down the track, but having Darling there, this bloke is going to just explode this year.
Yeah, and Zerha
and Zerha as well, absolutely.
So you've got that sort of second and third where they were the prominent ones.
Yeah.
Now they're second, third and or fourth in line.
Yep. We had Daniel Harford and Chad Wingard last week, and they were big on that. I mean, Chad Wingard was pointing out repeatedly throughout the afternoon how Jack Darling was blocking his man or taking care of a the number one defender and allowing Larky to really shine. So I love what they've done there.
They copped a lot for it as well, for recruiting him. So I think we've already seen so quickly the impact that he can have. For me, what I like about what North Melbourne did last week, and probably something that we haven't seen the Crows face yet, is a number of key tools forward and back to deal with. We've seen Riley Philthorpe, Taylor Walker and Darcy Fogarty have their way like they did at the MCG last week. I was there as well. Every 50-50 contest wasn't even a 50-50 contest. It was a 75-25. And the same goes up forward. It's going to be a challenge. Nick Murray's is a big out for mine. It's going to be a big challenge up forward or down back for the Crows with those star players, Darling, Zerha, and of course the main man, Nick Larky, and Curtis, as we touched on, who's been in great form as a dangerous small forward.
And to still come back into this side, so Jackson Archer will come back in the next couple of weeks, and Griffin Logue, and you've got George Wardlaw too. So they've got some talent, and they certainly are looking better. And to your point earlier, Josh, like they've actually pulled in that 3 or 4. We've touched on that again. So all of a sudden, rather than relying on one to come in, they've actually done exceptionally well. So I'm looking forward to today's game. But after last week's result and watching them in that last quarter particularly, I thought maybe Adelaide at home would be a bit easier, but it's going to be a bit tougher today, Ben.
The voice of Rod Jamieson, 25 years as an expert here on the ABC. So what an effort that is as well. The Kangaroos.
Get anything for that?
Oh, I think you maybe, yeah. I'd hope so. We'll find out. Here come the Kangaroos making their way out onto the Adelaide Oval. They're wearing their old Bounding Roo jumper. I must admit, I love this jumper. The blue up the top, across the chest, some stripes into the Bounding Roo on the middle, the white down the bottom, and the white shorts. And this great song, the old Victorian State of Origin song, as well as they make their way out. See more links between the return of the Malcolm Blight Cup, given the Kangaroos have the old Victorian song as theirs. A couple of things I just want to chat about very briefly before we get right into this game. The competition-wide issues, the push into a marking contest. Ryan Mansell last night on Liam O'Connell. It does feel like there's every chance we'll see one today, whether it's in this game, whether it's in the Western Derby, as they call it, out west, because we've seen so many this week. What do you make of it, Josh Franco first?
Look, if you'd have asked me 3 years ago, I think it's ludicrous. But I'm actually involved in the school system here in South Australia and hear a lot about grassroots footy. I reckon one of the biggest threats to the game at grassroots level is concussion. We saw the Archer one a couple of weeks ago, and again, if you had have asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said that's totally just part of the game. It was an accident, play on. Nothing to be seen here. You have to protect the head, and you've got to mitigate any incidents, or try to mitigate any incidents in the game that are going to cause that, because what ends up happening, and we talked about this off air as well, Ben, that the boy that's brought up and the girl that's brought up in a football family is always going to play football. Those boys and girls that are sitting on the fence, do I, don't I reckon parents look at these incidents and go, the game's too rough. Concussion's an issue for years down the track. So I actually don't mind the rule. Because, again, if you're mitigating head contact and concussions, I think that's a good thing.
It's a great insight from Josh Franco, who works in the school system, as he said. The Adelaide Crows have made their way out. They've got the little pump-up song as they make their way up the race, and now the pride of South Australia blaring out from the speakers around this picturesque Adelaide Oval, wearing their tricolours, the hoops around their waist, with the navy blue shorts, the Adelaide Crows, as they warm up at the Torrens River end of the ground. Do you have a thought on it, Jamo?
Well, I think, there should be a free straight away. Like, if you're pushing someone into a contest or you're pushing someone, I guess depends on if it's the side or the back, but there's a reason why you're doing it, aren't you? Like, you're either looking to get away or push them into a contest and mix things up. But I, too, am involved in women's football program here in the SANFL, and you're trying to teach players to play away, and if the umpires aren't picking it up, then it's actually hard to then get them to perform a particular way too. So I think it's incredibly dangerous, and particularly, I guess, the one we saw. I think the Archer one is actually a really interesting one too, like it's...
Yeah.
We could go into and talk about it a lot, however, but anything concussion and something that can nullify any serious injury absolutely needs to be taken out of the game.
Yep.
I did speak to someone associated closely with the umpires today, and they actually told me that the hardest thing for umpires to adjudicate and officiate at the moment is marking contests. They said there's so much that goes on inside a marking contest. Clubs train it, what they can get away with, be it chopping the arms, be it blocks, etc. You're recently out of a AFL clubland. Josh, do you agree with that? Do clubs train it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the intricacies of that. Yeah, absolutely, it's trained. Yeah.
But I'm seeing more in recent time now where it was hands in the back as a forward or a defender to hold them and then push back and take the mark. I've seen that happen a lot in the season so far, and umpires aren't picking that up. And again, it does, I guess the focus has changed, but you still got your hands in the back.
Yeah. And I reckon the other thing around this is that I reckon that the perception could potentially be that the game's going soft.
Yeah.
It's still a combative, brutal game. I mean, you watch some of the close games with the big clubs that are playing that are up top end of the ladder. The games are brutal. So, but those incidents, you have to get rid of them. You have to get rid of them for the good of the game.
The thoughts of Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. You can have your say as well, 0437 774 774. You can talk about pushing into the marking contest. You can talk about this game. You can give me some strong feedback for my idea about resurrecting the Malcolm Blight Cup for this fixture here today. G'day team, Grant in Hobart here, enjoying the call. Looking forward to the game, but geez, the ground announcer doesn't half love the sound of their own voice. Very loud. Can hear them from Hobart. Go Blues next week.
I can hear him through the headsets.
Seems to be
it's very loud.
Common refrain. It is also the emergency services game here today, so a shout out to all emergency services personnel, be it police, ambos, fireys, the SES. We all call on them at different times. So as the son of someone who worked for the emergency services, I'll give them a shout out. But
first responders too.
Yeah, the first responders. Yeah, exactly right. Jamo. All right, boys, into the hardcore footy preview as we are about 8 minutes away from the bounce of the ball. Give me the anatomy of the upset for the Roos and how Adelaide can go 3-0 to start the season.
Well, looking from North Melbourne's perspective and having watched the Crows a couple of weeks ago, clearly they were outstanding against Essendon last week. North Melbourne have to defend the ground well. If they choose to go quick out of their back 50 and try to get speed on the ball, if it gets turned over, they will get absolutely torched on the turnover because Adelaide's ball movement has been absolutely electric in the first 2 rounds of this season. So they've got to defend the ball well. I think from North Melbourne's perspective, you'll see a fair bit of kick mark in the back half. They still have their forward 50 targets, as we said, with Darling and Larkey as well. So they do have the targets up there. But the number one priority for the Kangaroos is to restrict Adelaide's ball movement, get the game on their terms, get field position off the back of a winning stoppage, and then give their forwards a look at the footy.
I think they're maintaining the possession. I think that's an area that Adelaide have really worked on. So in the last 2 weeks, their uncontested has been through the roof. Their marks last week, again, was against Essendon, but 129 to 59. So it just tells you that they have hold of the football. It's like Hawthorn of the old days, or Hawthorn coming into now. Like, I don't mind not winning the contested, but if we've got the footy, they've got to come and get it off us. And the way that they've been able to maintain it through disposal, it's just absolutely critical too. So
the one thing I was going to say to that too, Jamo, is I reckon the Adelaide Crows have got a really good mix between that, what you just spoke about, in terms of owning the ball and try to march the ball up the field to then get in a position to launch some forward 50 entries. But when they smell a bit of blood and they can go quick, gee whiz, they look dangerous. And they can get speed on the ball and they get those handball receives, and then you've got the big forwards streaming back to goal with Rochelle and the Keys and even Rankin when he's ahead of the ball. They're very, very difficult to stop, and that's why if North Melbourne don't defend the ground well, they could potentially be in a world of hurt.
One thing the Crows did do very well last week, and our experts Luke Ball and Adam Ravanauskas just were all over it, was the money kick inside 50, or let's not say specifically inside 50, but the way they delivered to that three-headed monster of Phil Thorpe, Fogarty and also Tex Walker. They had great separation between their forwards, and the way they delivered it was rarely bombing it long into them and having the guys hailing a cap deep. They were all moving, and it was lowering their eyes as the midfielders and hitting them up.
Well, I think, it was 20 marks to 7 inside 50s last week for Adelaide. So again, another indication that they're delivering the football where they need to. They're actually presenting accordingly. They're putting to the advantage of their forwards and making it easier for it too. So their time in possession is up in the high 40s too. So they're actually holding onto the football again and the way that they are moving. So to our point a little earlier in terms of the quality that's coming in and adding that. And the defensive work too. Like, they're just playing it in their forward half.
And even the mix of the forwards that Adelaide have ahead of the footy. You got Bill Thorpe's the big gorilla. You got your lead up to Walker and Fogarty, and then you got the smalls. So they would be causing opposition defensive coaches a lot of headaches.
And we go Daniel Curtin. He's only played a handful of games, but he's another one too who's a target.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating to watch the young Roos as well. I mean, there's so much to like here, and what we saw for the first time last week with the Kangaroos, I felt like anyway. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It probably means it's more likely to be wrong. But I felt like the way they moved the ball was excellent from their defensive half. It was the first time we saw some schematic formula to the way they were able to move the ball. Josh and Jamo.
Well, I think what you've seen, they only just got beaten by the Western Bulldogs, and they're a reasonable side this year too, with still some quality to come back in. But I thought the way that they fought and scrapped it out, which is probably not still an Alistair Clarkson side is. They defend and they defend hard and they're ready to go to work. But the way they opened up the game last week when they did in such a short space of time, that's what makes them look seriously dangerous.
Just for a moment, this man has been everywhere in the media. He's actually a friend of mine, Matt Samut, on his saxophone, rocking the Adelaide Oval before Crows games. See if we can take some of this in.
Gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
He's been on Media Street.
I like it.
I actually saw him playing the saxophone. He was playing Never Tear Us Apart, and I pitched it to Port Adelaide. I said, you guys should get him pre-games, and somehow he's bobbed up at the Adelaide Crows. He is a hardcore Adelaide Crows fan, so this is a much better fit. But he's been everywhere this week, hasn't he?
He has
Media
been everywhere,
Street.
and he was great in round one, and they've got Metallica, Sad But True. When they run out, they had some drums, and now they've got the saxophonist. Great song, Oh My, Get a Good Feeling, which is, links, I know we're on the ABC, but links to one of the slogans of one of the sponsors back in the day. So it's quite fitting. I think they've done it very well, the Crows. And, it certainly helps when the on-field performance backs it up.
Simon from the York Peninsula on the SMS line 0437 774 774. Enjoying the insights from the guys who know, like Jamo and also Josh. Pushing the back rule has been ignored in the AFL for years. It is there for a reason. Every week we see players being pushed into dangerous situations. It's a good point. Paul Roos made that point on the ABC AFL Daily Pod, which I do with him and Corbin Middlemass every Monday. He said, if the rule's adjudicated, you stop it right there. Yeah. You don't have to go to the tribunal or the match review officer to officiate that. Let's head downstairs. Liz Walsh is between the benches and with us on this beautiful afternoon. Liz.
Hello, Ben, and that's right, I'm down here at ground level where literally you couldn't say anything else than conditions being absolutely picture perfect. We've got blue skies, sunshine, slight northerly breeze. We're expecting a top of 25. Currently it's 22. Crowd's still building. It's looking good down here. I've even spied a few Saka tops in the rows behind me too. South Australians still celebrating that Sheffield Shield win, just like T-shirt Tommy up in the box there. Meanwhile, it's the Kangaroos who've just won the toss. They'll be kicking to the northern scoreboard end of Adelaide Oval. Quickly looking to the benches for you. And for Adelaide, Josh Rochelle, Matt Crouch, Mitch Hinge and Daniel Curtin will all start on the bench. Sid Draper is the Crows' tactical sub. While for North Melbourne, Robert Hanson Jr., Will Phillips, Darcy Tucker and Jacob Constanti will all start on the bench. Dylan Stevens is North's tactical sub.
Great work, Liz. The players just breaking off to get into position, at least for North. Adelaide still in a tight huddle down towards the Torrens River end of the ground. We are just about set to go. Which way are you tipping, gents? Josh, you first.
Look, I think Adelaide are going to be way too strong. I didn't like Lee Adams in the pre-game interview, said they're not going to go with Jordan Dawson. I reckon he's the man they have to put the clamps on from the get-go. They do bat deep, but I think the Crows are too strong.
I think for being at home and the way they're playing Adelaide for me, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher than what we think.
I'm with that. I'm with you, Jamo. I think maybe 20 points. I think North actually have a matchup that the Crows haven't had to face yet this year.
LDU's gone straight to Jordan Dawson, so if that's going to be a solid matchup.
So the first game of 2 on the Sunday slate, round 3 from the Adelaide Oval. North Melbourne have never won a game at the Adelaide Oval. They've lost all 11 by an average margin of 45 points. Umpires Fisher, Power, Howson and Bales ready to go. You're on ABC Sport, and you're with T-shirt Tom Wilson.
Huge game of footy. Tristan Sherry up against Riley O'Brien, who gets the top straight down to Rankin, who sidesteps Sherry. That was special. Lowers the eyes, looks for Walker, who dropped the mark at centre half forward. Ball spills out towards Keys. Gets it to Peatling. He's handballed sharked by Luke Davies-Uniacke, and Harry Sheasel's in there as well. Rankin dives over the footy. Cop one high play on, says the umpire. Ball spills to the middle of the ground. Working hard was Miller, but he handballed it straight to Jai Simpkin. His kick inside the forward 50 was read best by Josh Worrell. Intercept mark for the Crows at centre half back.
The Crows with it, just kicking across half back, and Keys there to mop it up. He goes short to Saligo.
Hot start.
Takes the mark on the half-back flank. Kicks to the milestone man.
Rankin outstanding, just evasive.
Laird gives it off to Saligo. Running kick to half forward, looking for a marker. Walker takes it on his chest. Men on inside 50. Oh, Walker changes his mind, drops the ball. Pink picks it up for North. Kicks from half-back to half-forward, looking for a marker. Ball hits the deck. Miller gathers it. He's tackled, holding the ball. And North with the free kick, attacking point of the square.
Poor old Tex had a mare then, didn't he?
Yeah.
Caught in two minds and then didn't make a decision at all.
Had Thilthorpe and Fogarty to go to, 1-on-2.
Yeah, Thilthorpe was wide open. The right forward pocket. Curtis goes inside the forward 50, kicks it to the top of the goal square, fisted away by Ball Ace. Dangerous ball running towards the behind line. Goes the right side of the post. That's a minor score. That's for the Crows it is. So minor score to North Melbourne. They get the first one today as the Crows bring it out through Shoal.
Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Long kick up towards the wing. Flying in. Core takes the intercept mark. Bright sunshine here in South Australia. Core goes back to Caleb Daniel. Native Croatia back home into the middle of the ground for Powell, who wants to switch it right out to the wing. Mark taken out there for the Roos as they work it down that eastern wing up towards Davies-Uniacke. Davies-Uniacke will look long into the pocket. Up they go. Zerha unable to take the mark. Ball hits the deck. There to work it out briefly for the Crows is Worrell, and eventually it's knocked through for a minor score. So a second behind for the Kangas. 2 minor scores to start. We've played 2 minutes 20 in this opening term Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
That was just as good by the Kangaroos then from go from one side of the ground to the other. 4 kicks, 5 kicks, and then into a dangerous area.
Miller went to Cumming, who gets it to Keys on the outer side of the ground, defensive side centre wing. Dangerous ball inside. He's kicked it straight to his opponent. Turnover. Bailey Scott's got it. He plays on. Kicks inside the forward 50 now. One-on-ones. Larkey from behind brings the ball to ground. Ball's in dispute. Diving on top of it there is Jack Darling. Ball Ace tackled him. Laird's in there as well. He's pulled off the football. Hot footy in defence, but Michael Annie did well, gets it back to Scholl. He kicks out a defensive 50 towards Fogarty and is fisted out over the boundary line by McDonald. We'll have a throw-in about 75 metres around from North Melbourne's goal. They lead it by 2 straight behinds.
A couple of uncharacteristic mistakes from Adelaide in the early stages of this game. Keys, I think it was, brought the ball inside, turned it over. We saw Tex have a bit of a brain fade as well. Just need to settle the nerves a little bit, the Crows.
A little bit of a sloppy start. Yeah. O'Brien winning the tap down, trying to get it towards Dawson. Rankin comes away with the footy, gets the handball out. Now Scholl with the kick up the wing, looking for Thilthorpe, who takes the mark. High half forward, has Walker on inside 50. He'll look into the pocket. Keys is there, up he goes. Worried out of it there by Comben, who goes back and gets it. Now a clearing kick for the Roos. Back up towards the wing, bouncing ball. Simpkin and Miller are there. And out of play. Was it out on the full? No. Umpire wants to spin it in just forward of the wing on the broadcast side of the ground. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Round 3 from the Adelaide Oval. North 2 behind. Adelaide yet to score.
Just having a look behind the ball, and Keys was giving the umpire an absolute serve there. I thought he was a bit stiff not to get the front on contact in that marking contest.
And or chopping the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Comben got away with one there for sure. O'Brien over the top there, and Colby McKercher gets the clearance. He kicks it forward, bounces over the head. An awful bounce for Zerha, who ran at the footy, ends up in the hands of Josh Worrell, whose short pass gets to Ball Ace. Coming into the side for Nick Murray today, who's got a jarred knee, could miss up to 3 weeks of footy. Bit of a blow for the Crows, but always played well when he's had his opportunity. Kicks down the line to a contest towards Thilthorpe, and Core got his hands to it and punches it out over the boundary line, right in front of the interchange gates for both teams. So we'll have a throw-in. We're about 5 minutes gone in this first term. North lead it by 2 points.
Riley Thilthorpe is just a beast, isn't he? Now?
Massive.
He's towering over those Kangaroos defenders.
Sherry and O'Brien. Sherry in front, gets his hands to it, but Peatling goes in for the Crows, wins the footy, gives it to Saligo, off to Neil Bullen. He'll kick to half forward, rank it in space. That's always dangerous. Tiptoeing the boundary line. His kick inside 50. Port. North Melbourne chop it off. Scott then drops it, leaves it behind. Key steals it, swivels, snaps, goals. He's a man in form, and the Crows love him. 1 straight 6. They kicked the first. North 2 behinds. We've played 5 minutes. Opening term, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
To sit in this privileged position to watch Isaac Rankin just manoeuvre through heavy traffic. The contest down here from a boundary throw-in, just one way went the other, and then handball down low to get it out. And I think it was to Saligo. The kick then was always going to be hard when he went forward. He had to get through 3 defenders of the Kangaroos, but no doubting Keys as to how important he is to this footy club. His work rate and to get himself into the right position after the footy came to ground.
Well, you saw my thunder a bit there, Jam. I was going to say exactly the same. When other guys are making fumbling errors and turning the ball over, you get it in the hands of Isaac Rankin. He just makes good decisions at the right time, particularly, in tight in traffic where the pressure's on. Just a super player.
Back in the middle of the ground, ball in dispute. Crouch is chasing. Davies Uniacke is trying to get through, but he was mobbed by a pair of Crows, Crouch and Dawson. The skipper just pushes LDU off, kicks inside the forward 50 with that long left foot, bounces in front of Thilthorpe. Well gathered there by Core. He's got some support going all the way back to Pink, who kicks it out of defence. Worrell was in front, but it was fisted away by his opponent. Going in hard was Peatling, did well, gets it to Crouch. Worrell gets a chance to go inside the forward 50. 3-on-1. Thilthorpe came over the top. Well gathered by Daniel. That was a clean handball for North Melbourne. Gets it to Core, who gets it along the boundary line just and finds his teammate.
Oh, I think the crowd are unhappy. It looked out on the full from here.
Zerha ends up with the footy, kicks around the wing to a massive contest. O'Brien launching at it, doesn't come down with the mark. Led at the back of the pack, picks it up for the Crows, gives it to Michael Lanny. Good kick. Finds Cumming.
I reckon that's the kick from North Melbourne, where I'd like to see them find a free player rather than just kicking long down the line.
Cumming spots up a target in lead, feeds the handball forward to Dawson. Dawson with a long kick inside 50, looking for a marker. Keys at the back. Eyeing number 2, it goes straight up and down. It'll come down in the goal square, bouncing ball. North have the numbers. Combat picks it up. He's set upon. He's wrapped up. Nowhere to go. And the umpire wants it. All up, 15 out from the attacking goal for the Crows.
And it's all Adelaide at the moment, fellas. It's 40-18 disposal. So Adelaide clearly on top in getting their hands on the footy.
Walker does the ruck work like he always does in the forward line. He beats Sherry and kicks the goal. Huge move there from Taylor Walker. Pulled it out of the ruck, snapped it through. Adelaide get 2 in quick succession. They're 2 straight 12. North Melbourne just the 2 behinds. Let's get to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, looks to be a bit of a concern down here for North Melbourne's Cherry, Tristan Cherry. He's down on the physio mat in long conversations with the doctor. Looks to be a problem with his right hamstring at this stage, so I'll keep a really close eye on him.
Tell you what, that would be an absolute disaster if he can't see the game out. And already looking at some of the numbers, the clearance count at 5-1 Adelaide's way, the contested ball well in favour of Adelaide, uncontested ball. They're absolutely dominating play at the moment and dominating field position and looking really dangerous ahead of the ball.
And 12 marks to 7 again, just maintaining that possession. Yep. I love how they're exiting out of the contest really wide or going back and then allowing to then go forward.
Forced Darling into the ruck now.
That would be an absolute nightmare. O'Brien wins the tap down straight to Peatling. Hooks the kick across his body. Inside 50 for the Crows. Dawson's there, gathers the footy. Handball misses Walker out of play. Throwing coming. 45 around from the attacking goal here for the Adelaide Crows.
As I said, it's only early days, I get that, but signs are pretty ominous at the moment for the Crows. They're looking really sharp. Getting their hands on the ball, getting field position and clearances, they're looking unstoppable at the moment.
It is one-way traffic at the moment. Throw in on 50. Darling taps it down, gathers it himself. Just wobbles a kick up towards the wing. Keane tracking it back. Bad bounce of the ball, favours North. Larkey gathers. Keane strips him of it in the tackle. Umpire lets them rumble. Laird picks it up for the Crows, gives it to Saligo.
Gets it to Peatling, who plays on quickly, just forward of centre wing, going long towards the top of the goal square. Flying over the top was O'Brien. Roving in defence is McDonald. Gets it to Daniel. Back to McDonald, who be happy to take this over for a rush behind under the required pressure. And we'll get a minus score. Adelaide go to 2-1-13. North Melbourne 2 behinds. We've had 10 minutes gone in this first quarter.
It's an interesting one because Ray Chamberlain told us on ABC Sport that if you have an opportunity to get rid of it and then rush it, that counts as your prior. So even if it is within 3 metres, as Razor articulated it to us, Caleb Daniel kicks it into Dawson, who charges down the kick from the kick-in. And it's out of play on a forward 50 stoppage. It is all the Crows at the moment.
Absolutely it is. And North Melbourne at the moment are really under the pump. They're under siege in terms of their ball use as well. They just need to find a mark, look to maintain possession and take a bit of the sting out of the Adelaide Crows' forward thrusts.
Bill Thorpe up against Darling. Darling grabs it out, cop one high. Play on, says the umpire. Ball, his swivel kick goes to the milestone man, Rory Laird. But he pulls it across the face, just landed inside the line. So we'll have a boundary throw in the left forward pocket. Liz Walsh.
Looks like Tristan Cherry getting ready to come back onto the field, but I think everyone will be keeping a very close eye on him.
Disposals 47-24 in favour of Adelaide, and ground ball gets 2 in favour, 18-11. Adelaide are clean.
Deep inside Adelaide's forward 50, Darling and Walker. Some help there from Powell, who gathered the footy for North Melbourne. Ends up with Simpkin. Kicks it out of defence, the skipper, and it's been punched away there by Keane. So we'll have a boundary throw in. Left forward flank for Adelaide. They lead by 11 points, 11 and a half minutes gone here on ABC Sport.
And doubling down that too, Jam, as we said, getting absolutely torched in the clearance. It's 7-3 at the moment, and it's only 8 minutes into this first quarter.
Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
There's another one.
Thilthorpe away to Dawson from the tap, off to Cumming, off to Saligo, inside 50, Walker nearly. Toby Pink just slaps it away out of play, but it has been like a training drill early on for the Adelaide Crows here.
Too easy, isn't it, too, the way that they exit out of that contest as well. But the handballs, they're just the right touch or just giving it so they're not breaking step. That football a little high into Taylor Walker at its second bye.
Crows lead it by 11. Darling doing the ruck work, wins it for North, gets it away to Hanson Jr., who gives it off to Parker. His kick a turnover. Crows back with it. Short kick from Hinge to half forward, taken by Keys, looks into the pocket and spots up a target. How about a mark for the Crows is Curtin, deep in the right forward pocket, about 10 metres in from the boundary line. Right forward pocket.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it, for the two sides at the moment? North Melbourne get the ball, they hack it forward under pressure. Adelaide is set up really well defensively. Then the turnover happens. North Melbourne defenders too slow at numbering off, and if they find a spare target in Curtin inside forward 50.
On to go with the snap. Curls out and curls it through. It is all the Crows. Early on against the Kangas, 3-1-19 plays 2 behinds. They lead by 17 points, 13 played opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco.
I spoke about the Kangaroos maintaining possession. In the early part of the quarter, they went across the ground, and then went forward and looked dangerous. But here you are, metres gained. It's nearly 900 for Adelaide and 560 for the Kangaroos. So they're not getting it, and when they are, they're actually not putting the pressure on Adelaide's defence by going forward.
Absolutely, and they can't even find a mark at the moment. They've only taken 7 marks in this first part of this first quarter, and probably 3 or 4 of them is that bit of play you were talking about, Jamo. So, again, they need to get their hands on the ball around the stoppage. They need to somehow manufacture a bit of field position, and if they can find a mark, they just need to take a breath and keep trying to maintain possession rather than kicking long down the line. The ball becomes live, and that's where Adelaide looking dangerous.
Terry's back on the ground, back in the middle. Gets the ruck tap to himself and handballs to Luke Davies-Uniacke. He's wheeling around onto his right foot in the centre square. Kicks towards centre half forward, bounces. Ball ace grabs it, handballs back towards Hinge. He's under a bit of pressure, but does well. Handballs out of defence. Looking for Cumming, but gets out over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in right half forward for North Melbourne. Crows lead it by 17 points.
Yeah, an opportunity here. At least they won the centre clearance, and again, we talk about field position. They're just outside their forward 50, but at least they're not on the back foot.
How good the ground looks too.
Oh.
I don't want to open up a wound, but this is where the cricket could have been, and then they play a game of footy. They just couldn't work out the safety aspect of it.
O'Brien down to Crouch. Crouch tumbles it off his non-preferred right up to the wing and will get a throw in.
I'll just say there too, Ben. Sorry to interject, but Matt Crouch was free at that stoppage. If there's one bloke you're not going to leave free, it's him. So someone's actually gone to him now, but they need to tidy up what they're doing inside the contest at the moment, North Melbourne, because, as we said, currently it's 9-5 clearances in Adelaide's favour.
Umpire brings it in. Sherry lays it down. Straight to Sheasel. Runs around onto the left. Shallow inside 50 here for North. Big pack forms. Comes down for Curtis. Flicks out a handball looking for Zerha. Keeps it moving forward. Scholl gets involved for the Crows. Does well. Spits out to Tucker though. Back feeds a handball. Off to Larkey. His kick. Doesn't find a target. Into the pocket. Tracking after it. It'll tumble out. And we'll get a throw in the right forward pocket here for the Adelaide, for North. 3-1-19 plays 2 behinds. Quarter hour mark, opening term.
Adelaide with the numbers around the football, isn't it? Just putting the pressure on, not allowing the Kangas any time.
O'Brien over the top, gets it to Crouch. His handball goes to Rankin.
That's the kick there. That's superb. Just releases the pressure, allows Adelaide to get set up ahead of the footy.
Billy came down from half forward to grab this one at half back. He goes down the line, and that wasn't really to anyone in particular. Toby Pink dropped the mark. Gets it to McKercher, who wheels around on his left foot, goes inside the forward 50, flying with Zerha. It's going to be a free kick. I thought I heard a whistle, but play on, says the umpire. Ball's in dispute, right forward pocket. Curtis and Hinge are in there, so we'll have a ball up just inside the paint of the boundary line, right in front of the scoreboard, just near Eddie Betts' pocket. Crows lead by 17 points.
Do love the shirt, Tom.
Good, isn't it?
So is there a day to wear? Yeah, that's it. Well, it's their old field with new logo.
Away go the Crows out of the back pocket. Crouch kicking up towards the wing, turning it over. McDonald marks.
At least they're getting a few repeat entries now, North Melbourne.
He sends the Roos back towards full forward, looking for a marker. Keane puts his fist through it. Bouncing ball. Sheasel gathers it, wrapped up immediately. And a ball upcoming for those playing along at home. It is a one-day cup champion shirt for South Australia for this year. Did the domestic double, the Shield and the one-day cup. O'Brien backhands it down to Crouch in the back pocket. Gets a handball away to Rochelle. And a clearing kick from Worrell, but a turnover straight to Powell of North. 60 out from their goal.
But the repeat entry, see what they do here, because they're just going to the same spot, aren't they? And they're going to do the same here again.
Kick to a target about 20 metres out. Larkey actually got 2 hands on it, but just couldn't complete the mark. And some great handball work from the Crows. Gets it all the way to Michaelani, and Josh Rochelle marks again, left half back.
This is where they're dangerous, Tom.
Yeah, a dangerous ball inside. Hits Rankin, who goes to Miller. It goes the 1-2. Kicks out in the front of his teammate in Saligo. He's got some... it's Alex Neil-Bullen, who's got some company with Comden, who took him high. Bit of front-on contact there. So Neil-Bullen, a premiership player at Melbourne, goes inside the forward 50, kicking to the left forward pocket, looking for Curtin. That's fisted out over the boundary line by McDonald, and we'll have it thrown in. The Crows lead by 17 points. 17 minutes gone in the first term.
I think to your point too, Jamo, with those repeat entries, North Melbourne, they just hitting the hot spot, weren't they? Not really giving their forwards, although Larkey probably should have taken that mark in that last entry, but I guess it's just too predictable. Need to find some avenues, different avenues.
Forward 50 stoppage here for the Crows. Sherry winning the tap. Finds Powell, who gives it to Pink. He just whacks it out of there. Tumbling ball in the middle of the ground. Cleverly tapped from Darling to Larkey. He's held up for a moment. Has to give it off to Phillips. He looks long inside 50. Foot race is on, getting back Michaelani. He marks 35 out from the defensive goal for the Crows. And their defence is bending but not breaking at the moment, Adelaide. They lead by 17 points, 18.5 into the first.
O'Brien, this is a dangerous ball to a 2-on-1, looking for Miller. It went over his head, and Rochelle was in the right spot. He's at the centre circle, gathers, gets it to Keys, who wants to get on his left. Instead, he goes on his right. It's a ball that gets past Pink towards Walker, but it's safety in numbers here for North Melbourne, who are able to bring it out of defence. Bailey Scott with the mark at left half back. Just needed his opposite leg skill there, I think, Keys, but didn't have it, and McKercher has it at centre half back.
Tom, can I just say, Ruckman, don't try to hit 45 back in the corridor.
What about the puff of dust that came off Keys' right boot? North working it down the western wing. Caleb Daniel under the lid. He goes short to Jack Darling.
Much better.
Man on in the pocket. Chips it over the top. And the mark is taken. for the Roos in the left forward pocket by Constanti.
That was really good ball movement there from North Melbourne. Their transition from D50 into forward 50, they didn't panic, they didn't kick long to a contest. They were able to show a lot of composure with ball in hand and just by foot able to find the target and then find their final target inside their forward 50 to line up for their first goal.
Drafted by the Swans, traded to North Melbourne. His kick is tight left. Just tugged it slightly. Trying to get a run at more consistent league football. Adelaide lead by 16 points. 3 behinds place 3-1 as we tick into time on in the first.
Miller out of defence. Launching at that one was Tucker and missed it almost completely. So it ends up in the hands of Keys, who handballs to Thilthorpe. Perfect pass to Rochelle, centre wing. Goes inside the forward 50. Fogarty's on the lead. Core for company, who just nurses him out over the boundary line. Will have a throw in. 40 metres around from Adelaide's goal, right half forward.
They're getting a lot of space, Adelaide, aren't they? They are moving it. That's low. It's a hard kick out in front, but just too close to the boundary line on that occasion.
And a great link-up player so far, Josh Rochelle. Sherry wins the contest. Deep in defence. Gets the handball to Sheasel to Powell. Handballs over the top to Phillips. We've got some run now from North Melbourne, and they've got some numbers too. Can they hit a target? The only person they found was Mitch Hinge. He was a Crows player in between 2 North players, and he got hit on the chest.
Just had to find a player, didn't they, on that occasion? Adelaide set up really well defensively behind the footy.
So the Crows in the switch now. Crouch going short to Saligo.
It's 5 kicks, Ben, where they've just been able to hit up and maintain. Here's number 6 as they move closer to their forward 50.
Short to Curtin, wider out though. They lead into the pocket, nothing Curtin-like, so he comes infield to Crouch, doesn't go the required distance, and it's broken up by North. Live footy again. Miller goes in and picks it up. He's wrenched off the footy. Ball hits the deck. Sheasel comes in to get involved for North. In fact, Caleb Daniel it is beneath the lid, and now another ball up, attacking point of the square here for the Adelaide Crows. They led it by 16 points, 22 played opening term.
I think Daniel Curtin missed that Fogarty lead, wasn't it? He had space and time and he went inside.
Timpkin goes forward looking for Larkey, brought it to ground importantly to Bailey Scott, who puts the Jets on. Tackle! What a chase there by Curtin! Was on his hammer. Just as he took the bounce, he ripped him to the ground.
That was superb, wasn't it? What is he, 195 centimetres, Curtin? What a chase.
The Crows again with the switch. He goes back to Borlase, who moves it back to Hinge, who stabs it short to Cumming. Very wide out on the eastern wing.
And this is where they're really dangerous. They make the ground big and then look to pick the defence apart. But on this occasion, they're kicking long.
And Cumming goes long down the line to a massive contest. Thilthorpe in front, doesn't bring it down. Daniel roves to the Roos. Gets rid of it to Finn O'Sullivan. Back feed to handball to Sheasel. Roos at half back. Loops it over the top to Daniel. Kicks it straight into Sheasel. And coughs it up because Peatling picks it up. His handball turns it over though, straight back to Daniel. And Thilthorpe takes him to ground in a strong tackle. That is a mismatch.
He just picked him up like a garden gnome, hasn't he?
Yep.
That's Daniel versus Goliath.
Yep. I like it. There is a Crow down in back play here. Maybe
I think Rochelle, is
yeah,
it?
Josh Rochelle, just a little sore.
Your point's really valid though too. You touched on Josh Rochelle being a link man. I think over the summer he's changed his way. He's worked hard on his craft, and he wasn't just that player that was now deep in forward and being that small forward to work hard defensively.
Seeing a replay of what happened to Josh Rochelle, Tristan Sherry with his big knee has jumped up in the marking contest and put it right into the lower back on the right-hand side of Josh Rochelle. Now,
you broken ribs?
Yeah, that could be broken ribs.
Or
that could be
stuff.
Yeah, internal.
Petrarca almost.
Not to put too fine a point on it. That could be quite dangerous. So the Adelaide Crows medical staff, I'm sure they will take due and appropriate care with that injury, with what we saw with Christian Petrarca last year.
So he's walking off the ground, which is a good sign. And let's get down to Liz Walsh on the boundary, who has a better view.
He is walking off the ground, flanked by 2 physios, but it's very slow, the walk that he's taking. The doctor is just watching the replay on the video screen that they have down here at ground level. So no doubt he'll be taken down into the rooms. Taylor Walker's standing up. He's waiting to come back on. Oh, look at this. You might be able to hear the crowd behind me. He's actually starting to break out into a bit of a run as well. In the meantime, I've got my eyes firmly on Sid Draper, the Crows' tactical sub today. He is unmoved, so we'll just watch what's going on here.
Ball's back in play, and Peatling tries to knock that forward. It's left half forward for Adelaide. Saligo short ball to Neil Bull, and that's about 8 metres. He tried to claim the mark. Handballs forward to Thilthorpe, bursting from full forward to Peatling by hand to Walker, who's just come onto the ground, but pulls that way to the left. That's out of bounds on the full. A rare miss from Taylor Walker.
I reckon Tex thinks the game's starting at 3:30. I'm his biggest fan, but he's a bit off today, isn't he? Normally he'd just swallow that goal.
Just out to the right, one step, and normally does nail it, but put it out in the full.
Caleb Daniel with the kick in, runs to the pocket, turns it over. The Crows come up with it. Saligo to Neil Bullen. Marks 35 out, only slightly left of centre. And he can look at the Crows' fourth.
I tell you what, when you talk to young players about the game and you talk about composure and making good decisions under pressure, Saligo's last 2 kicks have been outstanding. Could have blazed, but he's pulled the kick late. First one wasn't 15, but then on that occasion, that was brilliant. Just threaded the eye of a needle almost and found Neil Bullen.
Grew up a Crows fan, out at Footy Park, wearing the colours.
That's a great.
Now he's living the childhood dream. The Crows are 4-1-25. North haven't got out of the blocks. They're 3 behinds. Adelaide by 22 points, 25 minutes into the first. Liz Walsh before Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
Josh Rochelle has just gone straight down into the rooms here, so I'll report back with an update as soon as I have one.
Just on that, it's a really awkward position for the Crows medical staff now, because the Melbourne medical staff were widely critiqued for putting Christian Petrarca back out on the ground. So he might be fine, Josh Rochelle, but it's going to be a nervous one for them.
Almost, you got to get to the the American football, where they actually have almost that medical centre down underneath their change rooms, don't they? So you can actually do an X-ray, you can do a scan, and just make sure straight away if you need to. Again, there's an expense and cost, obviously, to do that, but if there's some doubt, it's probably unlikely to come back.
Yep.
O'Brien v Sherry in the middle of the ground. Powell trying to get the clearance, gets the handball to LDU, who kicks inside the forward 50. Can North conjure up something here towards Larkey? Brought it to ground, knocked it forward towards Sheasel, but hot on his hammer was Miller. Quick handball to McKercher. The tackling pressure from Adelaide is amazing. Still trying hard though, North Melbourne. Can they jag something? Scholl rides the tackle. He took it on. He's going to get pinged.
Wow.
And you can hear the crowd. They don't like it, but he launched into it. And Paul Curtis wins the free kick, 15 metres out, slight angle.
Well, you talk about the tackling pressure of the Adelaide Crows, and just looking at the replay, I reckon he's a little bit stiff on that occasion, the Adelaide defender. But you talk about Adelaide's game, and what it's built around is pressure. And their tackle count at the moment is 16-10. They're beating North Melbourne up in contested possessions. And
Paul Curtis gets North Melbourne on the board. He converts a much-needed one. They go to 1-3-9. Adelaide a 4-1-25 in the dying minutes of this first quarter. That's a 16-point lead to Adelaide, the home side.
I think like why Adelaide's crowd is booing. They've certainly missed the first one there. It might have been Michael Annie tackled. The ball came loose, so he hasn't got rid of the football appropriately, and the umpires missed it. And then conversely, if a bloke who can lift 145 kilo is going to wrap you up, it's going to make you hard to get away.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, Sheasel, I think, was that first one. Just getting a replay here, the ball rushing back. That's Scholl. So Scholl did jump up, and I think the moment he jumped, the umpire decided that was his prior opportunity, and when he couldn't get rid of it after that, he was pinged.
And even though he did jump, he didn't have a lot of opportunity, did he?
Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Out of the middle, Phillips picks it up. Twisting and turning, and eventually kicking to half forward. Larkey leading up, he takes the mark. Right on the arc of 50. Maybe just inside it. The mark's generously set 47 metres out. I agree with the Adelaide fans. I think that was a little generous.
I'll tell you what, Ben, I'm looking at the flags on top of the scoreboard. The breeze is going over his left shoulder, so he's got every bit of this journey. But it's a big kick in the context of the game. They've just kicked one.
In comes Larkey. Boot to ball from 53. It's a good drop punt. It's a goal.
Terrific finish.
Their talisman delivers. And the Roos are right back in it. 4-1-25 plays 2-3-15. It's back to 10 points. Half-hour mark of this opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, he's a big target up for. We spoke about that with Darling coming into the team and what the mix does and allow, and Zurhaar also too, just the options they have. And just of late, albeit it was deep again, they get a free, but on that occasion, centre clearance, they find the leading player. It's a different option to be able to do it and to be able to hit like they have. It's a good result from the quarter, albeit they've probably been outplayed, but late in this first only find themselves 10 points behind.
Yeah, well, it was all Adelaide, wasn't it, in the first sort of 10 or 15 minutes. They've definitely wrestled momentum back, and that's probably off the back of the clearance count starting to even up somewhat. It's now 13-10, but they're looking a little bit more dangerous around the footy of the Kangaroos.
All back in the middle of the ground. There's still time for both teams here to jag another goal. North Melbourne and kick the last two after Adelaide banged on the first four.
Looks like they're sending a forward up to the stoppage, who's Parker, just to give us support at the stoppage.
Berry hacks that kick out of the contest. Laird, a 250 game man, the only one running back for Adelaide, gets the handball back to Worrell, left half back flank. He goes long on his left foot. Getting a hand in there was Curtin. Well roved there by Tucker. He did cop one high. I think the umpire was just waiting to see what the advantage was. No advantage in the end, so he gets the ball defensive side centre wing.
Tom, this is where they need to kick mark a little bit. Rather than just kicking long down the line and getting the ball live again, see if they can maintain possession.
Oh, Caleb Daniel, normally pretty smart with the footy, but down the line he goes.
Has to go long on the left. Parker launching at it. Down in front it spills for Saligo. He coughs it up though to Zurhaar. To McKercher. Forward handball to the run of Zurhaar. Half forward for North. Floats it to full forward. Larkey slides into mark. 7 metres out on a 45-degree angle. He's got it again.
Again, all off the back of that contest win. We heard Rod Jamison talk about Caleb Daniel, nowhere to go. He ended up kicking long down the line, but they were good enough to get the job done at ground level. And then the North Melbourne, the Kangaroos players streaming forward, and not the perfect kick inside 50 in terms of the shape of the spin, but found its mark.
Hot angle, but close range. And the Roos have got 3 on the bounce. It's back to 4 points, 2 for Larkey. 4-1-25 plays 3-3-21. 32-minute mark of the opening term. Liz Walsh.
Still no sign of Josh Rochelle. He went down into the rooms after copping that knock to his ribs, so he's still down in there with team physio. But Sid Draper still sitting on the back bench with his training top on, so it doesn't look like he's coming on just yet.
Nick Larkey's had a good start to the season, hasn't he? Third game now and has 10 goals, and just his size and frame getting in front. But I think it was McKercher as well, just the way that they were able to exit from that last stoppage and contest out the other side. And then you had Zurhaar, and then there was another Kangaroos player on the inside. Multiple options that just Adelaide didn't defend that contest at all very well.
Inside 50s, 15 apiece. Margin is just 4 points, working their way back into this game nicely. The Roos. Cherry tries to soccer that one off the ground. Fresh airy, and there's the siren. So a fascinating quarter of footy. Adelaide versus North Melbourne. The Crows came out firing with the first 4, but the Roos responded, kicking the next 3. 2 of them went to Nick Larkey, 1 to Paul Curtis, and the goal kickers for Adelaide, Alex Neil-Bullen, Dan Curtin, Taylor Walker and Ben Keys, as they lead it by 4 points.
So the big watch there is really on Josh Rochelle and whether we see him again in this match after a big knee to the right-hand side of his lower back. That is potentially very serious. So we'll keep our eyes and ears on that to see what we get out of the Adelaide Crows and whether we see him again throughout the day. He's just emerged from down beneath us. So he's walking out towards the Adelaide huddle. We'll get more from Liz Walsh in a short while. We'll also have the thoughts of Rod Jamison and Josh Franco. Text coming in. Jess in Reservoir says, last Sunday I went to see Dua Lipa. This Sunday I'm listening in while dyeing my hair and I get a second unexpected music treat. Love that saxophone. Go Kanga, 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 Roo, Roo, Roo. Rich from Ocean Grove says, tuning in on a sunny afternoon preparing food for a barbecue. How good's that? And Mark in Adelaide says, what number consecutive game is Ben Keys playing today? Consecutive game number 109. So very reliable now is Ben Keys, behind only Crisp on 240, Wilkie on 135 and Florent on 122 in the AFL. Right now, though, we can pause. It is Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
The World Test Championship is coming.
He gets connection here, lifts it over the keeper, one bounce for 4.
Australia versus South Africa.
And he nicks it, he's got him again.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Peeling goes in for the Crows, wins the footy, gives it to Saligo, off to Neil Bullen. He'll kick to half forward, rank it in space. That's always dangerous. Tiptoeing the boundary line. His kick inside 50. Board. North Melbourne chop it off. Scott then drops it, leaves it behind. Key steals it, swivels, snaps, goals.
Walker does the ruck work like he always does in the forward line. He beats Sherry and kicks the goal. Huge move there from Taylor Walker, pulled it out of the ruck, snapped it through.
Caleb Daniel with the kick in, runs to the pocket, turns it over. The Crows come up with it. Saligo to Neil Bullen. Marks 35 out, only slightly left of centre. Grew up a Crows fan, out at Footy Park, wearing the colours. Now he's living the childhood dream. For Saligo, he coughs it up though. To Zerha, to McKercher, forward handball to the run of Zerha. Half forward for North, floats it to full forward. Larkey slides into mark. 7 metres out on a 45-degree angle. He's got it again. Hot angle, but close range. And the Roos have got 3 on the bounce.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
So Joshua Shelley did emerge at quarter time. He then went to the huddle and has disappeared back down into the rooms, the Crows rooms down at the River Torrens end of the ground. I think I've been calling it the Torrens River. I did live here for 2 years, so I should know that. But you know, sometimes you just need to re-familiarise yourself coming to town.
City End.
City End's good. Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, what did you make of that opening term?
Well, I thought that the Kangaroos responded. We spoke about last week. They were up for the scrap and the fight for 3 quarters and they had a chance. And it probably wasn't dissimilar to that in that first. It was all Adelaide. And I felt Adelaide should be a lot further ahead. I think at one point it was 10-2 inside 50s. It's ended up being 15 apiece. Metres gained pretty much the same, 15.85, 15.20. So the Kangaroos got going in the last probably 10 minutes of that quarter. Caleb Daniel has been instrumental along the half-back line too. Nick Larkey presented and got 2 goals as the big target up forward. And I think Toby Pink, albeit Tex Walker hasn't had a huge impact and he has fumbled a little bit, you know, as a key defender, he's doing exceptionally well. So they've worked their way back into it, Josh.
They absolutely have, Jamo. And as you said, it was all Adelaide in the first 15 minutes of that first quarter. But probably the old North Melbourne would have rolled over and the margin would have been 6 goals at quarter time. But to their credit, they got the game back on their terms in terms of the clearance count, the inside 50 count. They looked a little bit more methodical, less panicky with the ball in the second half of that first quarter, the Kangaroos. And I guess, you asked the question, are they heading in the right direction? Last week they had a terrific win against Melbourne, but what I've seen today, albeit a small snapshot of just the first quarter, they have been quite impressive because they were under siege early. And as you said, Adelaide, they didn't capitalise on the scoreboard, but to the credit of the Kangaroos, they were able to wrestle momentum back and they look quite dangerous ahead of the footy.
I think uncontested 69-44 in favour of Adelaide, and it's the kicking efficiency that's putting Adelaide probably just a touch in front, 73-64, maintaining possession, marks 35-18. So again, I think that's where, and Josh called it out earlier, Adelaide make the ground big. Now, that's what all teams are trying to do, but they're executing their kick. So as a defender, you can't zone off. You have to actually go to your immediate opponent, which then opens up the ground for the people or the players that have the football too, which makes it really dangerous to defend.
All invasion games, you can distill them down to make the ground as big as possible when you've got the ball and as small as possible when you don't.
Good call.
SMS rolling through, I read that. I didn't come up with that.
Oh.
Good poets borrow, great poets steal. Bill says, close too sloppy when in total control. It's unskilled or simply lazy play. You agree with that from Bill?
Not quite. Again, you've got a pretty solid team that's having a good
It's a side trying to defend you, so in fairness, it's the Kangaroos have been pretty good.
Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Ben Cameron, Tom Wilson, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco. Liz Walsh on the boundary. Sherry takes it out of the ruck. High free kick. Handball to Powell for North. He floats the kick out to the wing. And there is Scholl. He takes the mark, shoved over. Could have easily been 50. The umpire says no. Scholl moves it on to the run of Hinge. His long left leg is wide out on the full. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, I've just heard from the Crows. Rochelle is still being assessed, but at this stage it looks likely he will play on.
That was a bit sloppy, though, from Mitch Hinge there. He's got kick, he's got the whole wall to hit, and he puts it out in the full.
Nice fly there from Max Michelani. Centre wing, takes the intercept mark. Dangerous ball back towards Laird, but hits the target. Saligo in the centre circle. They do this so well, Adelaide, these short kicks.
It makes it hard because the defenders want to come at you and not give you the space in front, so they're actually, again, are opening up the space behind them.
Dawson goes long, looking for Thilthorpe, who was wrestled in the contest. And free kick against Aiden Corder. Thilthorpe, who'll have a shot 25 metres out directly in front.
Well, the other thing as well to that, Jamo, just the ball movement of the Adelaide Crows. Sometimes I reckon there's a misconception. If you kick mark, it's slow play. But you can still kick mark, you turn, assess, hit the first option you see. They did that superbly. 3 uncontested marks. Ended up in the hands of Jordan Dawson. Then the long kick inside forward 50, which defenders hate, through the free kick.
6 goals for the year. Riley Thilthorpe's been dominant up forward, and he just chips that one straight over the goal umpire's hat. He's got his first of the afternoon. The Crows have the first of the second quarter. They go to 5-1-31. North Melbourne 3-3-21. A few minutes into this second quarter on ABC Sport.
The way that Adelaide have started round 1, they kicked 7 goals against St Kilda. Round 2 against Essendon, they kicked 5. They kicked 4 in the first in this quarter, but certainly followed up with their 5th very early in to this second quarter. And again, it's just the methodical, the approach, maintaining, working out, and they are going forward in different ways.
What a beast he's become.
Is it the beard that
I
makes
think
him
the
look
beard.
bigger?
I think he ate some weights in his time off, but I think it's the beard that adds to it.
What's he bench pressing? Do we know?
I think he's up around 130 or 135 or something like that. He should be doing.
Well, it would have been more than that.
Yeah, surely.
It's like 2 of Ben Cameron's. He could put you and just eat you.
Unfortunately, a bit heavier than I look at the moment, Jamo, regrettably, as Sherry wins the tap down. The Davies-Uniacke under pressure, turns it over, the Crows with it. Peatling fumbles, though, good enough to recover his own footy. Kicks inside 50, towards Thilthorpe, very nearly. Neil Bullen, front and centre, roves the pack, floats at goalwood and misses.
Is everything all right?
Just a bit heavier than I'd like, unfortunately. Big summer on the road for the Test cricket and a lot of eating out, unfortunately. Crows lead it by 11 points, 5-2-32, plays 3-3-21, 3 minutes into this second term.
Probably the last 2 centre clearances highlights Adelaide's pressure. First possession in North Melbourne. Adelaide been good enough to turn the footy over and get the ball moving forward.
Darcy Tucker took a bounce and then kicked it long out of defence towards centre wing. It's punched out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in. Just the Crows side of centre wing. They're kicking to the scoreboard end. Leading by 11 points here on ABC Sport in this second term. Got off such a great start in that first quarter. First 4 goals, but North Melbourne responded with the next 3. Riley O'Brien just taps that with 2 hands towards Rankin, running along the paint of the boundary line. He kicked goal of the year last week from there, but just pulls this one across and is punched over the line for a minor score. I think the crowd were in my book there. Thought we might see a bit of deja vu from Rankin. Instead, rush behind Adelaide 5-3-33, North Melbourne 3-3-21.
Sunday afternoon, not always the best time for a game of footy, but geez, the crowd's turned out.
Too much space at the Adelaide Oval is there as Daniel stabs the kick in short to Davies-Uniacke. Will he remain a Roo beyond this year? He goes further out wide, still in the pocket to Caleb Daniel.
It's where the mids and half-backs, they've got to keep working to provide an option for the kicker. Again, we spoke about it in the first quarter. Resist the temptation to do this.
Sets it up high to the wing. Sherry comes across. Dawson in front of the pack. There's a holding free kick in there. It'll go to Sherry. Come back to the North Ruckman. Have a hamstring concern in the opening quarter, but seemingly okay. Keep your text coming. 0437 774 774. The 2 lids share it. The tall and short of it. Sherry off to Daniel.
He kicks forward. A rare misstep in the kick. Just dribbled to the contest. The Crows get it. They go long towards Sherry, who was met by Fogarty from behind.
Hurt himself.
And Michelani was tackled there. Lost it in the contest. So a turnover here for North Melbourne. An opportunity. Simpkin centres the ball. Finds Phillips. who took a good contested mark. He's got the footy at centre half forward. Goes short again to Simpkin.
Oh, that's going to be 50.
This is going to be 50. Mitch Hinge, and you can hear the crowd boo Hinge's argument that it wasn't 15 metres.
Probably had a decent argument too for that.
The only problem is that's not his decision to make, is it?
He's a very good point, Josh.
Yeah. Well, you play to the whistle.
Yep, you do.
And there's no point in remonstrating with the umpire now, Mitch, because they paid it a mark.
It's probably right on 15 metres, but he's just tackled Simpkin and pulled him forward, and Simpkin's just kicked that straight through the middle. He's made Hinge pay. The skipper hits the scoreboard. North Melbourne 4-3-27. They get one back. Adelaide 5-3-33. We're 6 minutes gone in the second quarter. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, the Crows might have said just before that Rochelle was hoping to play on. That looks very unlikely now. Sid Draper has actually just put on his Guernsey, he's put the training top back on, but it looks like he's about to be subbed into the game.
It's interesting. Big news, isn't it?
Yeah. That may well be that cautious approach just in the wake of
fair enough. Absolutely, that's fair enough.
They haven't finished that investigation yet, though, the AFL.
It's still going, isn't it?
Yeah. They quickly punished Port Adelaide, though, in a showdown.
Well, I think you also commented too, Jamo, that Fogarty hurt himself in that contest as well. And having a look at him now, he seems to have recovered, but definitely ginger after that marking contest.
It's going to impact his golf.
Yeah.
Was that over the concussion incident, Tom? Yeah.
That was Alir and Lockie Jones.
There you go, the Crows out of the middle. Keys gets rid of it away to Isaac Rankin. He coughs it up in a tackle, holding the ball, and they don't like that.
Natives are a bit restless here at the moment, aren't they?
Tucker caught him, kicks laterally across halfback for North.
This is the play. This is good from North Melbourne.
Off to Hanson Jr., who comes infield again to Davies Uniacke.
Make Adelaide defend.
Sunday footy on ABC Sport, and North making a game of it. Flower bag from Davies Uniacke up to half forward, bouncing ball. Constanti, he's dragged down in a tackle. Let him up it up, led for the Crows. Goes to Worrell. Left foot kick around the wing. Comben comes in to take the intercept mark. He did so much of that last week.
Goes across the ground. Finds Davies Uniacke, who kicks a dangerous ball, but it's perfect to Powell, who quickly handballs to his teammate O'Sullivan, running through the middle of the ground, kicking forward. Almost found a target there. Up forward. And Costanti just dropped the mark. He laid a tackle, but the ball spills to Hinge. The man who gave away the 50 finds Rankin. There's space. There's numbers here for Adelaide. Neil Bullen streaming forward. Kicks it over the top to Fogarty. 25 metres out. Could have played on, but he's going to go back and have a shot on a 45-degree angle.
I hope I can explain this properly. When the ball goes forward, if you can't influence the ball, that's where North Melbourne, we spoke about it pre-game, they have to defend the outlets behind the ball. On that occasion, Rankin, all by himself, got the turnover, found the target. Now they're paying the price, the Kangaroos, for that lack of defensive effort on that turnover.
First touch of the afternoon for Darcy Fogarty. He's kicked 7 goals this year. He is a sharpshooter. He starts it right and brings it back on the breeze. Darcy Fogarty gets his first with his first touch. They go to 6-3-39. North Melbourne 4-3-27. We've got a game on our hands 9 minutes into the second term. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Just confirming, Rochelle has now been subbed out of the game. Draper is about to run onto the field. The Crows are saying this is a rib injury.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing Sid. I've seen him on the TV, but his impact has been immediate in the games that he has played. 6 goal scorers, all individual to Adelaide. 3 for the Kangaroos. Nick Larkey with 2 in the first.
Talk about confidence in a kid as well. Look where he's going.
Oh, he was running to the middle. Now he's veered off.
My bad, sorry.
He is wearing a famous number at the Adelaide Crows.
He was in Jambo Jet as well. Benny Hart.
Benny Hart, number 34. Twice an All-Australian before he was 20.
Barry Nugget Reese, heavily involved with cricket all around Australia, would have been very happy with the result yesterday. Much.
O'Brien wins the tap down for the Crows. After Peatling, driving ball into the pocket. Over the head of Walker. Phil Thorpe hacks it out of the air very nearly. Very nearly. It sneaks through for a minor score.
Well, I guess going back to Draper as well, great confidence from Matthew Nix and the coaching staff that they're playing as an inside mid where he's best suited. Not earning his craft forward, they're actually having the confidence to play him as a mid.
Crows by 13 points, 10 minutes into the second.
Parker's out there for North Melbourne with Sheasel. That's right half forward for Adelaide. It gets out over the boundary line.
Defensive work, Adelaide. Kangaroos trying to go wide and maintain possession. Kick, mark. Pressure too good.
Berry and O'Brien knock straight to Parker, who kicks towards the boundary line centre wing, and that's out of bounds on the full. Game 250 for Rory Laird will get the opportunity to send this back inside Adelaide's forward line. He does that now. Looking in the Thilthorpe and Walker direction, who got one bite of the cherry. Certainly got the second bite of the cherry. But the umpire says it was touched first by North Melbourne. Oh, I think they often pay those ones. And Tex is actually pointing at the scoreboard, which is frowned upon in the game now.
And looking at the replay too, I think it's come off Toby Pink's forearm.
Glorious day for Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Forward 50 stoppage for the Crows. Both rucks with hands on it. Simpkin gets a clearing kick up to the wing for the Crows, and a good mark by Bull Zerha. Defensive point of the square here for the Roos. Zerha a little bereft. He slips over as he kicks, and Cole turns it over to Saligo. Off towards Shoal, inside 50, and Thilthorpe leading up. He has a man on inside 50, goes long for Keys, doesn't quite get it to him. Ball hits the deck, Keys follows up at ground level. The Roos are there. Oh, a little fumble from Comben, and it's over the line. A minor score. Very nearly for Adelaide, and very nearly a mess made by the Kangaroos defenders. Adelaide by 14 points, 12 played in the second.
I reckon I would like a time again as well.
Spent some time in the parlour over the summer too. His legs are looking a little darker.
McDonald goes long, and a strong contested mark there from Larkey.
I think sometimes you've got to be a bit more selfish, Tom. There, Riley Thilthorpe was all about, he could have had a shot on goal, and he tried to do the right thing with Keys because he worked at the square, but it was only 1 on 3 because the kick wasn't good enough.
Sullivan to Colby McKercher.
I reckon he was on straight away, Keys. As soon as you miss that opportunity, it's gone.
High draft picks at North Melbourne work together, and a drop mark there from Zerha, who was uncontested in the end. He ends up with the footy, shrugs a tackle, pumps it inside the forward 50, but to no one in particular. In fact, straight to the opposition in Rory Laird, who switches the play to Max Michaelani.
Michaelani sends it long out to the wing, and a good kick for a leading Curtin.
Rory Laird in his 250th has had 13 disposals, actually.
High half back here, the Crows, short to Shoal, and in that kick mark game again here Adelaide, short for Peatling. Nothing Peatling likes immediately.
Leading the way in disposals and going back to where it all started in the back line.
Kicks up towards half forward, a bouncing ball. Sherry's back there for North, gathers the footy on their defensive arc. Handball away to Comben, who slaps it back to Sherry. He's tackled to ground, under pressure now. Picked up there by Rankin for the Crows. Half forward, gets it away to Shoal. Shoal gives it off to Saligo. Saligo's buffeted off it. Pink picks it up, hooks a snap back up towards the wing for the Kangas.
Ball's in dispute. Miller have got their hands in there, got it to Neil Bullen, who just managed to get that clear in the contest. It's hot in the middle of the ground. Phillips wins the loose ball, gets it to Sheasel. Not much up forward yet, so he goes to Curtis, and a great smother. That was brilliant from Worrell. The kickback, though, from Ball-Ace was awful. Curtis gets another opportunity. He's got 3 Crows on top of him. The umpire says we'll ball it up near the logo on centre wing.
How good was Worrell? That was almost like, was it Nick Rewaltz on the square?
He's sure.
Wasn't that? Yeah. That was almost reminiscent of that.
Ball up on the wing. Crows by 14 points. North hanging around. Sherry lays it down for Parker, bursting through. Doesn't control it. Suckered forward by North towards half forward. Laird makes it his for the Crows. Swings a handball to the run of Rankin. Down the western wing, kick a shocker into row G. And North will get it back through Aidan Course. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Last 5 minutes hasn't been all that inspiring, has it? A lot of turnovers and errors by hand and foot.
Adelaide's still going at 74% with their kicking efficiency, and twice in this quarter have put it out in the full.
Dominated inside 50s, 8-3.
68%, the Kangaroos. Their kicking efficiency.
Forced to go down the wing. Unrealistic attempt there from Simpkin, missed by the umpire. Phil Thorpe gathers for the Crows. Handballs to Draper, a very popular prize pick in the draft. Saligo wheels around on his right foot. Dangerous ball in board. Missed the target. Tucker marked centre half back.
He's totally bereft for the time being, Tucker. Now we'll go backwards on the diagonal. Sets a task for Hansen. He's up to it. Gathers the footy. Chips around the corner and out on the full.
Yep.
Getting the crowd involved at the moment, both teams kicking into it.
Well, Tucker took the intercept mark. He looked ahead of the ball. He had no options. He went lateral but just missed the kick and then put his teammate under pressure. Oh goodness me.
Worrell, he felt bad for the Kangas, wanted to give it straight back to them. Now they're away down the eastern wing.
Fourth time from Adelaide turning it over.
Hansen Jr. has done the same. He's done it twice with back-to-back kicks.
This is ridiculous.
Check the football.
Just flash up to Alistair Clarkson in the box. I think he's as bemused as we are. And the Crows kick it in, get it to Cumming. Goes inboard to the skipper Dawson, who's probably 80 metres out. Does have a breeze, so he sits it up high. Going long towards Thilthorpe. Great in the one-on-one. He worked his opponent onto the footy, but couldn't get his hands up in time. I think it came off his roof. And bounced out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in right forward pocket.
What a purple pass that was. Adelaide still up, 14 points. 9 minutes remaining in this second quarter.
Ward 50 stoppage for them as well here as Walker clearly wins the tap, but Parker gets it for North. Handball to the run of Sheasel from centre half back. His dribble kick, a turnover, straight to Worrell, kicks into the pocket. Walker's trying to rove it off hands. Bounce doesn't favour him. And we'll get a ball up. 30 out from the attacking goal here for the Crows.
And inside 50s this quarter, a 10-3 Adelaide's way, so dominating field position.
Midway through the second, Crows by 14. Comes down from the tap to Neil Bullen. He's wrapped up immediately. We'll try again.
The contest, it's Walker v Darling. Went straight down to Parker, who's wrapped up by Keys. We'll have another throw up. Side Adelaide's forward 50. Darling knocks it down towards the boundary line. Stoppage after stoppage here at Adelaide Oval. Almost 18 minutes gone in this second term. Crows have dominated inside 50s 10-3, but just 2 goals to 1.
Matt Crouch hasn't touched the football in this second quarter. Taylor Walker, Wayne Miller hasn't either.
So Walker in the ruck knocks it down. At the bottom of the pack is Sheasel. Could be in trouble. Just got it out in time. Neil Bullen tries to force his way through, but is wrapped up by 2 Roos. And we'll have another ball up inside Adelaide's forward 50.
What if you're going to try to promote our game? You wouldn't be showing the last 10 minutes of the footy, would you?
Walker takes it out of the ruck. Off to Crouch. He snaps on goal and misses the lot. From 35 metres out, as good as directly in front. Maybe slightly to the right-hand side. He's missed the lot there, Crouch.
And on his preferred as well.
It was.
North back with it as McDonald goes short to Sheasel. That went about 7.5 metres.
Yeah, this time Curtin on the mark didn't run over it and give away 50. There's another opportunity for out in the full here. The boundary umpire is right there and the crowd is losing it.
That's twice they've missed that.
So some clever work from Comden to try and put it back in like it was never out. And Max Michaelani takes a good contested mark against Paul Curtis, centre wing.
Always reliable. Darling, Pink, Kasansky haven't touched the football for the Kangas either this quarter.
Michaelani, a high ball to half forward for the Crows in the Thilthorpe direction. Through his fingers out the back. Clever hands from Curtin. Sets up Walker. Running snap. Swings it through. You can always rely on Tex. He's got 2. And a steadying goal for the Adelaide Crows. Puts them back out by 20 points, 7-5-47. Plays 4-3-27, 19 played second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The former Crow Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, the 3-time showdown medalist.
Well, we're a little bit critical of Tex's start to this game, but he's worked his way in nicely on that occasion. When you want someone just to do something correct and do something right, put it in the hands of the guys that can kick, and Tex Walker, that was an outstanding finish. But just looking at some of the numbers again, dangerous signs for the Kangaroos. Only 3 inside 50s in this quarter to Adelaide's 11. and the other indicators that, I guess, paint a picture of how the game's unfolding. The contested possession, the ground ball gets, the clearances, all in favour of Adelaide at the moment, and their dominating field position.
O'Brien knocks it down to Rankin, who's wrapped up immediately by Powell. Gets some help from Sherry, so we'll do a lot again in the centre circle.
It's that contest too, Tom. It was Daniel Curtin. He had 2 or 3 opponents, but able to get that slick handball out to Taylor Walker.
Having a good couple of games is Curtin. Pressure on there from Draper. Crouch has tackled hard.
I just feel if Adelaide can get their act together and start using the ball and get a bit more efficient inside 50, they've just got the potential to go into this halftime break with a nice buffer.
It's almost 60% every time they have gone, or 60% of the time they've gone into their forward 50, they've scored or looked dangerous.
Ball in dispute after the contest. Powell got it out. Handball to Daniel. They're gone about 30 metres back from this contest. 40 metres back to Sheasel, who gets it onto his left foot. Worked out in the end to Daniel. Defensive side of centre wing. South Aussie from South Adelaide goes to McKercher. So just taking some time out of the game here. Umpire says that wasn't 15 play on. So Daniel goes on the left foot and finds his skipper in Simpkin.
Very slow and stagnant at the moment here, the Kangaroos. Simpkin runs around to his right, driving ball into the pocket, looking for Sherry. Good fist over the top from the Irishman, Keane. Out of play, forward 50 stoppage here for North.
They were coaching North Adelaide in the SANFL back in 2011, 12 and 13, and Caleb Daniel was a 16-year-old playing league footy for South Adelaide. Terrific player.
Did the same size then as what he is now.
Yeah.
Sherry tapping it down. It falls to a pack of players and another ball up. Good to see you were coaching the good guys at North Adelaide as well, Josh.
Yeah, the round 1 SANFL got underway here in Adelaide on the weekend, and they didn't start all that well.
Looking it down, Sherry through hands. Sheasel off the Parker. Quick snap towards the pocket. Unable to mark down there is Larkey. Out of play it goes. And a throw in alongside that left hand behind post. So the Roos get another forward 50 stoppage. They trail by 20. 22 and a half minutes played in the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Boundary throw in. Opportunity here for North Melbourne. O'Brien knocks it towards the goal square, and Larkey's there waiting, and he throws it on the right boot and it hits the post. Well, he was being tackled. That would have been a goal against the run of play. Instead, minus score. North Melbourne go to 4-4-28. Adelaide 7-5-47.
Sure what O'Brien was thinking there. Yeah. A long hit into the corridor towards the opposition goal.
The top of the goal square.
I agree.
He's an incredibly intelligent guy, but all ruckmen, they have their moments. Doing 4 degrees, or has done 4 degrees, as North win it back on the wing. Scott gives it to Tucker, kicks inside 50, big pack punched away into the pocket for the Crows. Laird is there, gathers the footy, handball to Hinge, clever little kick, neat kick for Neil Bullen. Marks on the painted defensive 50.
Was going to get a free then, Ben, for some reason during that contest, but Adelaide have maintained the footy.
Neil Bullen kicks long up to the wing.
Looking for Dawson. Fisted over the top by Pink, roved by Rankin. A sweeping handball to Draper, who rode the tackle well. Got it to Peatling, who stepped through traffic. Here's Riley O'Brien. He's got a few options. Handballs to Keys. Handballs over the top to Foggy, who can run into an open goal. And he kicks his second. Great transition play, Adelaide. 8-5-53. They're running away with it a bit here in this second term. North Melbourne 4-4-28, 24 minutes gone.
Oh, Sid Draper, outstanding. He had to take the forward handball from Rankin, I think it was. He took the heat and the contest. He got hit hard. And then working his way through was Peatling too. Just came back inside behind the defence of the Kangaroos, and that created the overlap for Adelaide.
Yeah, Peatling was outstanding, wasn't he? Just broke that bit of play wide open, and that's where Adelaide looked very dangerous, is when they are able to use their hands and execute well with hand and then find that free player ahead of the ball, as they did on that occasion. It was O'Brien, but that was Adelaide at their best.
And that's from one end of the ground to the other too. It was a loose ball. Laird picks it up. He goes forward. Adelaide take the mark. He would have got a free, and then they've taken it from one end and scored.
Last 3 goals of the game. The way of the Crows have kicked 4 goals to 1 in the second term. O'Brien wins the tap. Crouch has to fight for the footy though, and Davies Uniacke pinches it. Now he looks with the kick inside 50 for the Kangas. Out they come, and the mark is taken in defence by Borlase for the Crows. His kick is slightly dicey, doesn't quite find Miller getting involved. Curtis might have thrown it out. Miller recovers, gets back involved, wants the boundary line, gets it. And the umpire says that's okay. Let's spin it in at the elbow of 50 in the boundary line. It's Crows by 25.
Has to be incorrect disposal, doesn't it, too? Like, you can't. He went to handball. He's missed it. The tackle was there. He had one arm. Again, that's what the crowd are upset about.
I just don't like the term lost in the tackle. It's just incorrect disposal.
That's correct.
Kicked out of defence there from Curtin, and it clean bowls quite a few players out there in the centre wing. We've got a foot race. Saligo socketed it forward. He was knocked over fairly in the contest. Pressure on still for North Melbourne. McDonald did well to Comden. He hasn't got too many options, so he's going to spray it across the ground looking for his skipper. Was a perfectly weighted pass, and Crouch had to give away the free kick. Crowd don't like it, but it was there. Simpkin plays on quickly to Tucker. Centre wing, interchange gates, members side of the ground. 25-point margin the way of Adelaide. That's a very short kick. There's not much consistency with the 15-metre rule today.
That wasn't even 10.
And we saw a 50-metre result in a goal earlier. Scott goes inside the forward 50. Few players fly it. Fell to Michaelani. Knocked it back to Laird, who's been so composed all day. Dawson kicks it out of defence looking for Neil Bullen. Daniel gets a hand in there and gets it out over the boundary line. Just forward of centre wing for North Melbourne, who trail by 25 points.
Only 15 frees at the moment. 8 to the Kangaroos, 7 to Adelaide. So not significant in terms of the impact on the game, but it's probably the ones that they have missed and haven't paid. They seem as if they're pretty blatant.
Following this game, we'll send you out west for the Western Derby. As Daniel gets the clearance, high kick to 30 out for the Roos. Bouncing ball, still a live footy. Darling fighting after it. Curtis pinches it off to Zerha, snaps the goal. Against the run of play, a much needed goal for the Kangas. It's back to 19 points. 8-5-53, plays 5-4-34. 27 played in the second. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco.
If we didn't have the stats, you would feel that the game is a lot closer, wouldn't you? Well, sorry, Adelaide should be further ahead than what it actually is. They're just hanging around, and probably a couple of things. That just footy gets over the back. They've done it a couple of times, but the glaring one, like Rory Laird, he's just so clean when he touches the foot. It makes a massive difference when you can set up behind the footy with someone like that. Caleb Daniels doing the other way for the Kangaroos. He's got 17 disposals. Laird's got 18 for Adelaide.
So they've been good late in quarters so far. Kicked 3 in that first quarter from the 27-minute mark and beyond. They've managed to jag one here to get it back to a 19-point margin. And there's still plenty of time. Back in the middle of the ground, Sherry gets it down to Simpkin, who kicks it forward towards the point of the square, rather. Cumming red at best. Gets it to Laird. Back to Dawson, who dodged Sheasel at the right time to Cumming. Now Cumming kicks long, one square end to the other. Pink was in front, double fist down. Daniel, ball in dispute against Saligo. Two of the stars of play today. Dangerous handball over the top. Red best by Cumming to Peatling to Crouch, who goes inside the forward 50. It's a dirty ball. Was a buzzword last year. Ends up with Neil Bullen, but he's chased down by McDonald.
That was unbelievable from McDonald, wasn't it? Saved a goal.
Caleb Daniels' handball, that's uncharacteristic of him. He was under pressure and just threw it over the top and forward with the handball.
Son of a Shimbona takes the free kick, kicks out wide, and Daniels got it again. Halfback flank here for the Roos.
Donald McDonald.
Yep. Sends North up to the wing, and the mark taken by Robert Hanson Jr.
Ben.
I think it'd be more Cam Cameron.
I was thinking Cameron.
As Hanson Jr. kicks high up towards half forward. In from the side goes Riley O'Brien. The big ruckman takes a defensive mark on the halfback flank. Had a hole-in-one at golf a couple of weeks ago. Plays off 36. Rolled up in the gym in his golf gear. Kicked it out on the full there.
Tell you what, Ben, there's 80 seconds left in this quarter, and it's a little period here. North Melbourne with a bit of momentum. If they could just jag another one before half-time, it's game on.
A great call.
You know what iron he used?
I don't. No, I don't. I just don't like it when 36 handicappers have hole-in-ones.
Up at Mount Compass in the Adelaide Hills. Balls worked all the way back to North Melbourne centre-half forward line, but the Crows have it, and Hinge has got it. He switches the play, finds Cumming, who's been busy in the last few minutes. The former Giants defender. Kicks long towards Thilthorpe, who was outnumbered. Comden got the fist in. The other defender, Pink, goes long, looking for Zerha, who tried to get his way in front, and he had to shuffle out his opponent in Worrell, and you can hear the Bronx cheers from the Crows fans. They feel like they've been a little hard done by this afternoon.
Free kick, long up to the wing in the Thilthorpe direction. Comden got on his shoulders, got a hand to it as well. That would have been an all-time hang.
That is a free kick every day.
Out the back, McDonald kicks up to half forward for North. Ball spills out, Simpkin. Short ball for Larkey on his chest. 40 out, slight angle to the right.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jamo. Just looking at that marking contest live, he had two hands in the back. I'm not even sure he actually touched the footy, which is the cue.
Yeah, it is here.
And it's an unreal. Oh, he got a fingertip on it, but that's a marking that's a free kick. Unrealistic attempt at marking the ball. But now, big kick here.
This becomes a massive kick. After the halftime siren, their goal-kicking champs sprays it right. And the Adelaide Crows fans cry justice. It'll be 3 goals at the half. 8-5-53 plays 5-5-35. The home side, the Crows, lead the Kangas. The goal kickers for Adelaide. 2 to Taylor Walker, 2 to Fogarty, singles to Neil Bullen, Thilthorpe, Curtin and Keys, while for North Melbourne, 2 to Larkey, then singles to Zerha, to Curtis and to Simpkin. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Just repeating the news, Josh Rochelle out of this game with a rib injury, which could also have some internal injuries for him, which is not good news after a big knee from Tristan Sherry into his side, lower back, however you wish to couch it. Our experts, no shortage of experience here, Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
Well, 4-goal forward to Adelaide should have been a greater return in terms of the amount of football they had in that second quarter. Only 2-2 to the Kangaroos. Nick Larkey having that shot then after the siren. He's the offender. He kicked the 2 behinds in that second quarter. Again, Adelaide just working their way through, looked the better when they did have hold of the football to be able to go forward and the different options. Probably a couple of times you feel Thilthorpe should be able to beat and win those contests with his size and one-on-one. So the defence holding up reasonably well for the Kangaroos too, but they're just hanging in there at the moment too. When you feel that, and you called it, Josh, when Adelaide are going to get on top, they just come back or just find a way just to break the drought and get a free. That Rory Laird, outstanding, 20 disposals to half-time. Josh Worrell also in defence. Just that smother in that second quarter. That's the sort of thing that gets a team up and about. Pete Ling doing well with 14. The uncontested, I think, again, that's probably 24 in favour of Adelaide. I think if the Kangaroos can just shut down that option a little bit, I think they'll find that the margin would be a little bit closer, but as difficult to do. Adelaide have turned the footy over on 4 occasions, so they have, and they've given the opportunity for the defence of the Kangaroos a chance. They've just probably haven't capitalised it when they have got it to go forward hard and quick.
Yeah, absolutely, Jam, and I totally agree with you. The game is obviously, which every game does, has momentum swings, but I just feel like Adelaide, if they can be a little bit more efficient with ball in hand, at times they look really good, and we saw some of the ball movement from D50 to creating shots on goal. But if they can just control the ball a little bit more and be a little bit more efficient with ball in hand, it just feels like to me that they threaten to break the game right open. But what I will say, and obviously it's a new looking North Melbourne, they've been really competitive in their first 2 games. The old North Melbourne, I reckon, would have been 8 or 9 down at half time, and who knows what's going to happen in the second half. But they've been able to manage and wrestle momentum back, and able to apply a little bit of scoreboard pressure. And look, they're still within striking distance. The margin isn't insurmountable, but again, tidying up a little bit of their entries inside forward 50 and try to capitalise and be a little bit more efficient ahead of the ball and put a bit more scoreboard pressure on Adelaide to make a real game of it.
I think that's a fascinating pickup, that the old North would have been 8 or 9 goals down. What do you put that down to? Is that the experience they've added, the likes of Parker, Darling, and co, or is that Caleb Daniel was the one I was missing and trying to get to? Or is it structure? Is it a combination of both? What do you put it down to, Josh?
Probably a combination of both. I reckon when you got those players, and I mean Caleb Daniel at the moment, he's the leading possession winner for North Melbourne with 19. He's been instrumental down back. You got Darling ahead of the ball, which takes a bit of the pressure off Larkey, and obviously Luke Parker, who's a seasoned veteran, he's a big ball inside, and does more often than not win that contested ball. So it's a combination of that, plus it allows them to play the brand of footy that they want to play.
I think there's certainty, isn't it, too? Like if you know that you're going to, either a teammate is going to do what they have to do in part of their role, or you know what insight, like you're an incredible tackler and Josh was really quick out of the contest. So, like I can stay off or create something, he's going to win the football for me and get it out. And I think there's a little bit of that. So the more you train and play, and again, just the way that they have played in the first 3 rounds is testament to, I think, what Al Clarks is trying to build.
Absolutely, and obviously touched on it as well. You bring those 3 players in, Darling, Parker, Daniel, they're all premiership players, so they would have instilled a lot of belief with these younger guys as well, and they'd take a lot out of that moving forward, no doubt.
The disposal efficiency, 73% apiece. So again, the Kangaroos aren't far off what they're doing. I think, again, if they could just shut down the ease in which Adelaide are using the football, I think they can bring the game tighter together.
I am staggered it's that high, given that period of play we saw on the outer wing, the eastern wing, where it felt like there were about 5 kicks out of 7 that went out of bounds on the full. It was an ugly patch of play, but nevertheless, all in all, it's been okay here this afternoon. Adelaide leading by 18 points, 8-5-53, plays 5-5-35. The thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, our experts on Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Coming up after this match, we've got the Western Derby. I think it's Western Derby number 60. Stand to be corrected on that, but I have a feeling it may well be, so that's all to look forward to later on this afternoon. There's a lot to take out of that. Harley Reid, how will he perform? Justin Longmuir as well desperately needs a win for the Dockers. Right now, though, we can pause from the Adelaide Oval and get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News, I'm Eliza Getzi. The Greens have claimed credit for Labor's vow to outlaw supermarket price gouging, arguing it's a result of the minor party's persistence. Labor has vowed to outlaw supermarket price gouging if it's returned to office on May 3rd, saying it would establish a task force to crack down on supermarkets doing the wrong thing. The consumer watchdog recently found Coles and Woolworths to be among the most profitable supermarket chains in the world, but was unable to conclusively say whether they're actively price gouging. Greens leader Adam Banch says last year his party sought to introduce a bill to Parliament to stop supermarket price gouging, attributing Labor's promise to Greens' pressure.
The Prime Minister has gone shopping in the policy supermarket and picked up the Greens' plan to make supermarket price gouging illegal. That's a great deal for Australian shoppers.
A Chinese relief convoy is due to arrive in Myanmar later today amid international aid beginning to reach the earthquake-stricken country. But the UN says medical supplies remain scarce. With at least 1,600 people dead and thousands injured, the search continues in the rubble for survivors, as the BBC's Nick Beake reports.
Beneath the historic temples of Mandalay, the destructive power of Myanmar's worst earthquake in a century is clear to see. The country's second largest city bore the full force. At the Sky Villa condominium, they were digging through the rubble with their hands. 90 people were feared to be trapped. The building housed apartments and a wedding venue, but its 12 stories now resembles 6 after it pancaked in seconds.
A local Shire president in WA's Midwest says emergency-level bushfires in the region remain unpredictable due to windy conditions. People in parts of Nilgin are being urged to leave in a southerly direction towards Lancelin, where an evacuation centre has been opened. Meanwhile, a warning for a blaze further east in the Shire of Dandagaran has been downgraded to a watch and act. People in Orange Spring, Red Gully and Regan's Ford are asked to stay alert and remain prepared to leave. Dandagaran Shire President Tony O'Gorman says the fire is unpredictable.
There is always concern, and after seeing the very large fire we had back in November, You can't predict what fires are going to do exactly. So there's every chance it could merge, but at this point in time, I can't say that it will.
Meanwhile, WA has recorded 3 new cases of the measles, bringing the total from the current outbreak this year to 8. There are 2 new cases at Bunbury Regional Hospital and 1 at a prison. The Department of Health wouldn't confirm which prison. Senior Medical Advisor Paul Leffler says he expects cases to rise and that vaccination is the best way to prevent the disease.
The bad news is that measles is really infectious. In fact, it may be the most infectious disease known to humans. And also in the bad news is it can be really serious for certain individuals. But the good news is it's totally preventable. I mean, we have a very effective vaccine.
The Victorian government says it's working as fast as it can to improve community safety after 2 teenagers were killed when a stolen car crashed in Melbourne this morning. A passing motorist discovered the wreckage on Kellett's Road in the southeast suburb of Rowville. Police say the 2 boys were in one of 2 vehicles stolen from nearby Knoxfield overnight. Locals say it's the latest in a series of incidents in the area over the past week, including a stabbing and alleged kidnapping. Deputy Premier Ben Carroll says the government is working hard to stamp out crime.
We've just passed the strongest bail laws in the nation. We have a fully resourced Victoria Police. It always will take some time to turn this around, but we are steadfast that community safety is our number one priority.
Finland's President Alexander Stubb has made a surprise trip to meet with US President Donald Trump in the American state of Florida. The 2 presidents met for breakfast, played golf and had lunch and discussed foreign policy issues, including Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Mr. Stubb in Helsinki last week. In a social media post, Mr. Trump said the 2 leaders look forward to strengthening the partnership between the United States and Finland. And people who've bought supermarket packaged salad products are being urged to check the use-by date, with 2 major chains recalling products across multiple states due to concerns of bacterial contamination. Health authorities have flagged the potential presence of E. coli in some Coles and IGA branded products, with use-by dates up to April 9, 2025. It can cause diarrhoea, stomach pain, nausea, vomiting and fever. Members of the public are urged not to consume any recalled products. You're up to date with ABC News.
Power outages can occur anytime and could last hours, days, or even weeks. Find a handy guide on how to deal with power outages on the ABC Emergency website. ABC Radio.
Hello, Patrick Stack here. Do you like sport and good conversation? Then we've got a great podcast for you. One cracking story, in depth, every day, in under 15 minutes. It's called ABC Sport Daily, and you can find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Dawson goes long, looking for Phil Thorpe, who has wrestled in the contest. And free kick against Aiden Corder. Phil Thorpe will have a shot 25 metres out directly in front. 6 goals for the year. Riley Phil Thorpe's been dominant up forward, and he just chips that one straight over the goal umpire's hat. He's got his first.
Michaelani, a high ball to half forward for the Crows in the Phil Thorpe direction. Through his fingers out the back. Clever hands from Curtin. Sets up Walker. Running snap. Swings it through. You can always rely on Tex. He's got 2.
Draper, who rode the tackle well, got it to Peatling, who stepped through traffic. Here's Riley O'Brien. He's got a few options. Handballs to Keith. Handballs over the top to Foggy, who can run into an open goal. And he kicks his second. Great transition play, Adelaide.
Daniel gets the clearance. High kick to 30 out for the Roos. Bouncing ball. Still a live footy. Darling fighting after it. Curtis pinches it off to Zerha. Snaps the goal. Against the run of play, a much-needed goal for the Kangas.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Adelaide have had the run of play, but the Kangas have been plucky. They've hung around. 8-5-53 plays 5-5-35, an 18-point buffer the way of the Crows at the main break. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. It is the 60th Western Derby coming up later on this evening. We'll take you there in the postscript of this match between Adelaide and the Kangas. Josh Franco, what do you expect the Crows to tidy up at half-time for this second half?
Well, I think one is just their efficiency with ball in hand. At times, as we said before we went to the break, is they do look threatening, but other times they've just butchered the ball, whether it's through the mid-zone or the entry inside their forward 50. And again, maybe that's probably being a little bit, too harsh on Adelaide, because there is a side in North Melbourne trying to defend them. But I think if Adelaide can just tidy up that disposal efficiency and the ball movement efficiency, then, as I said, they just had that feel about it. They're going to threaten to break the game open.
Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, who you just heard there, are our experts here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Lots of text coming through. Fran from Melbourne is with us. Pleased to hear Jamo on the ABC again. 25th year. It's a long stint, isn't it? An SMS rolling through here. I like this one. A few North supporters fishing near Robe at Nora Craner. I think I've got that right. Ryan, Adam and Peter are trying their best. However, Lauren is the clubhouse leader. 10-year-old Archie experienced catching his first rock lobster this morning, an elite brunch. We're all enjoying the call. Go Kangas. Oh, how good's that? Oh, I like a little bit of crayfish, fresh white bread, thick layer of butter, a little bit of salt and pepper. Doesn't get better than that on a fresh roll or nice piece of bread. But I digress, Tom.
You do digress. That's pretty good, though.
I just fantasised for a moment in the wake of that text message. Brendan in Hobart says, it's where the free kicks are paid, not how many free kicks are paid.
Interesting.
Which is always a valid point. So it's always how many, those that weren't, and where can tend to make up the whole equation. And we always reiterate that it's not expected to be 50-50. Like, it doesn't have to be even to be right.
The funny thing, I think, with this 15-metre rule, which they're hot on, they're very hot on it in defence. But when it's forward, I always find that, that one, the controversial one for Crows fans where Simpkin is probably right on the mark and Hinge was clearly feeling, though, it wasn't 15 metres. But they're more likely to pay it kicking forward than they are kicking backwards, which I know that there was once a time a rule you couldn't get a mark if you kicked it backwards, but I just really feel like that's the case, that it's sort of very much to the texter's point there, is it is a where it is on the ground thing with that rule, which frustrates me a bit. It's just 15 or it's not.
Well, I think that's an interesting point. I think that was in the old pre-season cup. We had that rule along with the super goals, etc., etc. I did note Cameron Ling on Friday night suggested that we could have qualifiers for stats. So, for instance, if you kick backwards, it doesn't count as a stat as such, or if you're retreating. We've already got meters gained, but they do have similar things in baseball. So I need to hear Cameron explain it to me better, and then I'll form an opinion whether I like it or dislike it.
As you were talking about, I'm just thinking my way through that, because players these days are that driven by fantasy points and dream team points that if they didn't get a point for they might actually tidy that sort of.
Do you think the players know the counting they like, had 40?
Yeah. Although some of the best clearance work we've seen from Adelaide this year has been their handballing back to a kicker that's opened their runners out on the flanks on the side. So, look, I'm all for open to ideas, but that'd be tough.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, that great stat that Josh brought us pre-game around Matt Crouch. I mean, he's averages 7.7 metres gained, but he's third in the competition for the next possession in terms of metres gained. So, gets it out to someone in space so often.
But in the end, I think too, Ben, if you are kicking backwards, that's the duty is the opposition. You've got to defend that and try to get the ball turned over. That's part of the game.
It is. Adam Ramanauskas had a good idea yesterday, though, because we had a bang-bang play where there was a goal kicked by Will Graham right on the three-quarter time siren. And as we know, the rule is when the umpire hears the siren, not when the siren goes. Adam Ramanauskas took the idea from basketball, like on the shot clock when it goes red. He said the LED signage around the ground when the clock expires should go red. Then you should be able to review it, and you can see whether the sign's gone red when the time expires, or the mark's been taken, or the kick's been kicked. I didn't mind it as an idea from Rama.
That sounds all right, actually. It makes a lot of sense. Josh Giddey on the other day, too.
How was that?
Half-court buzzer beater over LeBron.
Is he a Victorian or a South Australian?
He's Victorian. Oh. But he made it at the Adelaide 36ers, so we obviously claim him. But
kind of like Jake Lehman.
Well, Jake Lehman was born in Victoria, but is absolutely through and through.
But was made in South Australia.
Made in South Australia.
I'm just winding Tom up.
You are.
Good to get him. I did go down to the Darren Lehman statue and pay homage on my way up today, so sent the photo through to Buff, who's over the moon. I texted him when Jake made his century, and it was 3:30 a.m. in Northamptonshire. He was up. He was watching the Shield final, so he loved it. Keep your texts coming too, 0437 774 774 if you wish to get involved. What have you got for us, Tom?
I just want to remind our listeners that, Josh Rochelle is out for the game. Copped a nasty knee to sort of the rib region. Club is saying that, kidney area. He was walking and running around, and we touched on in the call about, being safe, the precautionary move after what we saw with Christian Petrarca last year, and I touched on it very briefly, but the AFL is still looking into the handling of that after clearing it immediately after the game, or maybe 2 days later. And the fact that they don't have an outcome, I think, is concerning. When a couple of years ago we had a showdown here, Aliir, Lockie Jones had a clash. The doctor, Mark Fisher, cleared them to play. Retrospectively, the AFL said that was the wrong thing. They were instantly fined $100,000. And I just feel like, how have we not got an outcome on this? And that was a very swift move. That's not a Port Adelaide thing. That's not saying that they're targeted. But to be able to act so quickly on something which is going against the club doctor's advice, yet we still have no outcome on the Petrarca thing. And it was actually straight away, we're all happy with it. And the bloke nearly, sadly, his partner said that he nearly died.
It's a fair point.
I totally agree with you. I think it is staggering that it has taken this long. Like, if it's such a focus, I would have thought 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks would have been more than enough to come out with an outcome.
Crows by 18 points, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I'm not a doctor.
No, that's right. But it's good to see that clearly the Crows have taken the precautionary measure with Josh Rochelle, who's having a great season so far, as is Jake Saligo, who gets the clearance from a free kick, goes inside the forward 50, but that was beautifully read by Charlie Comden, who soared high over Keys and took the intercept mark. He goes out wide towards Pink and just had too much on it, and that'll go out over the boundary line. Left half forward for Adelaide.
And just to tie a knot on it just quickly, I mean, we're not saying the doctors did anything wrong. They might not have, but that should be what the report finds, and let's finish it and move on.
That's right.
Sorry, Josh. Good. Throw in here at half forward. Tried to hook it down Sherry, but stealing it, Rankin clothesline. Could have got a free kick, he will. Advantage paid. Dawson takes it. Ambles inside 50 and misses. Away to the right. Minor score. Crows lead by 19 beyond 3 goals. 1 minute into the second half. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
You know better than anyone then, Josh, too. Just coming through the contest, just at pace. Every chance to cop a free, which Luke Parker got ranking high.
And Jordan Dawson having that shot on goal. Just the 9 disposals. Hasn't had a huge impact in this contest.
So Daniel switches the play to McKercher, who goes out wide to Pink. The pink boots on. Right back pocket for the Roos.
Having a deeper look in that second quarter, Kangas kicked 2-2 to 4-4 Adelaide. The kicking efficiency by the Kangaroos was 72% to 67 and 30 marks to 26. So they actually played the game style in which the Adelaide did in the first quarter. So credit to Kangaroos as they continue to keep themselves in the game.
The boundary throw in. Ball Ace just fisted one over the back of Jack Darling. Just forward of centre wing for Adelaide. Sherry knocks it down towards Dawson, who tried to shirk the tackle. He's wrapped up by Sherry and his opposing captain and number 12, Simpkin. And we'll have another ball up. Outer side of the ground, centre wing, Adelaide lead by 19 points early in this third quarter on ABC Sport.
Sherry taps it down. Rankin onto the footy, though. Gives it to O'Brien. The Crows away with it. Saligo looping a handball. Can't quite get it to Draper. Saligo goes again. Now he gets it to Draper. Draper dispossessed. Ball jars free. Out of play it goes. Throwing coming 60 around from the attacking goal for the Crows. They lead it by 19.
Saligo just had to go then. That just looping handball. I think he wanted Rankin to just get it forward, but Caleb Daniel was too smart.
Ball from New South Wales sends in good SMS. I'll get to that in a moment. O'Brien hooks it down, but the Roos are there. Simpkin off to Davies Uniacke, galloping down the eastern wing. Gives it to Darling, slightly bereft. He'll kick inside 50. Larkey in good position, doesn't take the mark. Curtis at the fall of the ball. Centre half forward for the Roos. Parker gathers, snaps cleverly. Out to the half-forward flank. Darling can cross the 50. Either sticks and kick the goal. Kangas with the first of the second half. And it's back to 13 points. 8-6-54 plays 6-5-41. 3.5 into this second half Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I'll tell you what, Luke Parker, take a bow there. His vision to find Darling when he was under pressure, he could have, and he resisted the temptation just to bang it long inside forward 50, but he just spotted Darling out the corner of his eye and just hooked it around to him in a beautiful kick. And a wonderful finish there from Darling, but all set up that passage of play from the clearance win from the Kangaroos on the outer side. Good bit of play, keeps them within touch on the scoreboard.
Darling's a good size too.
Yeah,
we talk about Luke Philthorpe. Look at his chest.
Yeah.
I spoke last week. I actually went to high school with Jack. He was that size in year 8.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was
Man-child.
Shaving when he was 12.
He was huge.
It's like Shannon Hearn. He was like that. The West Coast Premiership captain.
Good country. South Australia.
Barossa. That's it. Ball comes out in the contest in the middle of the ground. Powell just knocks it forward, then tries to soccer it forward. Laird was hot on Simpkin, forced the dispossession, and it ends up in the hands of Saligo for Adelaide.
I reckon Simpkin just had to hold the footy in there, just released it, caused the turnover.
He's centre wing, finds the chest of Walker, rolls around like a Rolls Royce, kicks it inside the forward 50 to the one-on-one in Fogarty. Takes a great mark over McDonald and will have a shot 35 metres out in a 45-degree angle.
One of I reckon one of the key words that clubs use is ball security, and I reckon Simpkin would like his time again. He was under pressure, he was getting tackled, he had no pride, was never going to be called holding the ball. He released it, as I said, caused the turnover. This shot on goal from Fogarty as a result of that. Poor decision from Simpkin.
He is a deadeye, is Darcy. He's already got 2 this afternoon. Unloads from 45 metres out. And that's his 3rd. Darcy Fogarty will make you pay.
Ooh.
The umpires are just conversing all of a sudden here.
Yeah, Darcy Fogarty started to set up for the zone for the kick-in, didn't celebrate, so they'll check this on its way back to the middle, but I'm not sure Darcy Fogarty was convinced there.
Because the goal umpire was immediately, and just as we started pausing, was waving the flags.
Yeah.
So, is it a touch off the boot type setup? The man on the mark can really be the only thing.
Unless it's shaved the post.
The Crows are about to set up here. I don't think this is going to be a goal. Or is it?
The umpire, they're sort of heading that way. Well, he's pulled the...
Oh, that's the post.
Flag. Oh, wow. Here we go. The arc.
Cannon into it.
That did. Yeah. Yep. So that's fascinating because the goal umpire was so convinced that was a goal, waving the flags, and Fogarty immediately knew and was setting up in defence.
Needs to work on his poker face, Darcy Fogarty. He didn't celebrate at all.
The Kangaroos sort of knew it straight away, didn't they? They went...
Yep.
Did Core or McDonald went for the footy straight away?
Oh, that deflection would have gone to Gully. Not even. That was a thick outside edge.
Well, that's why we have the review.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've never had any issues with goal umpiring decisions at Adelaide Oval either.
Yeah. I remember calling that game.
Yeah. Oh, that was so brutal.
Yeah.
Even the jeers are just tempered in the wake of that, because even the Adelaide fans have seen the replay and thought, yep, that was pretty obvious.
Bit of a process the goal umpire has to go through.
Ball with a long kick in. Up towards a contest. Simpkin roving it off the pack, gives it to Tucker. His kick dribbles into Scholl. Simpkin goes back and wins it. North in possession. Tumble punt around the wing. Bouncing ball. Zurha and ball ace. Zurha does well to keep it in, only initially. Throw in on the elbow of 50 in the boundary line.
Got that one right.
Will the umpire be getting a bit of free advice down there now?
Yeah.
I think he might.
Well, I don't know, because he's in front of the Adelaide fans. Yeah. They might have said, good call. Crows by 14, 7 into the third.
Be able to pull your headphones out or something like that as a goal umpire.
Boundary throw in. Goes all the way out the back to Daniel, who gets it to Davies Uniacke. Goes inside the forward 50. Crows do have the numbers, but Larkey got his fist to it. Got it down, and we'll have a ball up.
What's happening as well at the moment is Daniel's direct opponent's going into the stoppage. So he's the spare player that's just sitting off in that, almost that quarterback role. So he's getting used and entering the ball inside their forward 50.
Jerry knocks it down to Ball-Ace, who gets the rove and kicks it out of defence. And Tex Walker takes a nice mark in front of Toby Pink. Important one.
Leads a handball to Rankin. Short 15-metre kick, just a bare 15. Goes to Crouch, who handballs it back to Rankin. Rankin kicks up the wing, a 3-on-1. Curtin does well to bring it down, then wins it at ground level. Dribbles it towards 50. Spills for Thilthorpe. Off to Draper. Off to the races. Settles 15 out. Kicks the goal. His first in league footy. And his teammates are draped all over him. Sid Draper at the bottom of a pile of tricolour delight. Crows by 20. 9-7-61, plays 6-5-41.
Well, Taylor Walker stood up, took the mark. Toby Pinks held him reasonably in the contest today. But Isaac Rank, we talk about how mercurial he is. He just assesses the situation, didn't give the footy up, won the football back, kicked it the 3-on-1. Was not ideal, but Daniel Curtin just kept it alive. And Sid Draper's got some toe, hasn't he?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's his one wood, isn't it? His speed, but just his ability to be able to kick on the run.
Yeah.
I was running that quicker to come off my knee, Jamo. That was and admittedly, it wasn't a hard shot on goal, but still had to kick the goal, and he did it well.
Kicked the drop punt too.
Yeah.
Feels like all of the kids these days would have gone for the running banana, wouldn't they?
Yep.
And Luke McDonald wasn't closing the gap on him either. No.
Did the kid Draper with his first. The clearance goes the way of North Melbourne. From the centre bounce, McKercher's taken 2 bounces on centre wing. Outer side of the ground, goes inside the forward 50 and a perfect pass to Jacob Constanti.
Well, a good reply there from the Kangaroos. We just spoke about Sid Draper with his electric speed kicking a major for the Crows, and on that occasion was just a terrific kick inside forward 50. Ben Keys, to his credit, didn't give up the chase, but just a beautifully weighted kick.
So Constanti with an opportunity to get the quick response for the Roos. Unloads from 40 metres out, and he just brought it back with the breeze.
Good reply.
Important one for North Melbourne. They stay in the game. They bring it back to 14 points the margin, 7-5-47. Adelaide 9-7-61. 10 minutes gone in this third quarter on ABC Sport. Let's get to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
As we know, Josh Rochelle has been subbed out of the game. He's actually come out of the rooms for the first time since quarter time. He's sitting on the back bench here, patting his teammates on the back when they come to the bench, but he doesn't look all that happy, I'd have to say.
McKercher was the Kangaroos player who got the wide football, and just his toe once again. Left footers, there's just something about left footers and how they deliver.
And the Kangaroos just won't go away, will they?
No.
To their credit, they're hanging in there and still within striking distance on the scoreboard.
Simpkin, 4 disposals. Davies-Uniacke, 3 in this quarter. Saligo with 5 and Rankin 3 just came to the bench.
It's 3 of the last 4 goals in the game, the Kangas. They retreat here, but go back to centre-half back to get away cleanly with the footy now. Sherry kicks inside 50 and it floats to Curtis.
I don't know if he meant that.
No, he didn't. I was just about to say exactly the same thing, Gemma. He just put it in the direction of where he thought his forwards would be, and it worked in their favour to Curtis.
Is he a left footer? It looks like he's a right footer and he just threw it on his left.
Yeah.
That's right.
But again, in the context of this game, it's a massive kick. The margin is currently 14 points. To get it under 10 points, so big kick with the wind slightly in his back.
Curtis from right on 50. His drop punt is pure. It's a couple for Curtis, and it's back to single digits. 9-7-61 plays 8-5-53. And these pesky Kangas are making sure Adelaide have to work for it. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
And just off the back of some terrific centre bounce work from the Kangaroos, this quarter it's 3-1 clearance count, and they've kicked 2 goals from centre bounce, which is a big number. So getting momentum back on their terms off the back of the good work they're doing in the centre square.
Well, it's that, isn't it? Hit outs too.
Yeah.
Jerry's actually winning that. Hits to advantage doing that. Davies-Uniacke is getting the clearance work and also his first possession. Kangaroos clearing well. Just that wide handball, getting outside the congestion and then hitting the forward handball too.
Just some breaking news as well. Ryan Mansell offered a 3-game ban for his push on Liam O'Connell. Careless, severe and high contact. So 3 weeks.
Feels like the watershed moment on that manoeuvre. Another clearance coming the way of North Melbourne. Will Phillips goes inside the forward 50 this time. Larkey had a run at it, roved by Curtis. He's already got 2. He got tackled. That's holding the footy, important. And he's trying to get, and he's given away 50 as well. So he got sucked in there by Hinge, who gave away a 50 of his own. So across the board, he's back to even. Hinge and goes inside the forward 50. Walker dropped a sitter. A soda falls out towards the back of the pack. McDonald's there. Tackles his opponent, will have a ball up 25 metres. It's all happening at Adelaide Oval.
I've been a little bit disappointed with Larky's Dukes today. I reckon he's dropped a few that are...
And it's sort of in here close, isn't it, as well? It's
and they've been catchable as well.
Umpire puts it up. Walker trying to hook it down, and we'll go again.
Taylor Walker's dropped a couple too, just on that occasion. He's double grabbed, and also on that one, that was an absolute Monty he would normally eat.
Oh, Walker tries to hack it out of the ruck, coming through, getting it on the boot. Peatling just through for a minor score, very nearly. The Adelaide Crows, 9 points is their lead. 9-8 plays 8-5. The Kangas are hanging tough on the road.
Oh, dangerous ball read beautifully by Curtin. Important intercept mark. A dangerous kick. And so Sullivan, who's turned it over. Curtin will have a shot 35 metres out, slightly to the left.
Right idea, just poor execution, isn't it? You know, it's bloke in his 3rd game. Just deep in defence. It's going to hurt you.
That was
turn the football over.
Coach killer.
They did flash up to Alistair Clarkson, who is starting to get angry in the box again now that his team's very much so competitive. Curtin. The Curtin call's got 2. Big game last week for the young gun, and he's backing it up today. He makes the Roos pay. Adelaide 10-8-68. North Melbourne 8-5-53. 15 minutes gone this 3rd quarter. ABC Sport.
I reckon the problem you have as well with a kick like that, and just to gift them a goal, you work so hard, and probably fair to say, if you're looking at the two sides on paper, there's a little bit of a difference in class, overall class on the field, and everything, when that occurs, everything needs to go your way. And when you just give them a goal on a silver platter, as they did on that occasion, when you've got momentum and your centre bounce works good and you're looking dangerous ahead of the footy, it just takes the wind out of your sails.
As they should have, and they did. The Kangaroos' defence all got around.
Yeah.
Fino Sullivan, just to say, keep your head up, move on, let's get on with the next one.
Crows by 15 points. Restart in the middle, tapping it down. Thilthorpe in the ruck, and strong tackle on Sheasel from Isaac Rankin. So we'll go again. It's the attacking side of the bullseye there for North, winning the tap down. Thilthorpe off to lead. Now Miller with a high kick inside, attacking 50. Comben loses Neil Bullen, takes the defensive mark for the Kangas.
That's his 4th or 5th for the day, after a day out last week with 12.
Blares it out wide to the halfback flank, and Toby Pink. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Pink tries to wait a kick up to the wing for Hanson Jr. Does it well. So North in possession, right beneath the Max Bashir stand here in the bright sunshine of the Adelaide Oval.
Parker goes short. Just working their way through here with short kicks, North Melbourne. McKercher decides to go long here. Looking for the target in Darling, and 2 Roos players crash into each other. Ball at dispute, left half forward. Got a good tackle there from Peatling, holds it in. So we will have a ball up on the paint of the 50. Adelaide leading by 15 points. 17 minutes gone in this 3rd quarter. Umpire wastes no time. Darling knocks it down straight to Rankin. And he says, I'll have it back and we'll do it all again.
Haven't been able to crack this game open, the Adelaide Crows. They'll get the clearance here through Rankin, hooking a snap up to the wing, bouncing ball. Caleb Daniel there for North, onto the loose footy. Plenty of time to stop and prop and assess. Now kick in the Darling direction. Thilthorpe with him, holding free kick. They'll go the way of the Roo Darling. Oh, the throwback, slightly errant, but nothing doing.
It was from his teammate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not quite George Gregan on the rugby pass. The mark set 51 metres out, or 50 and a half metres. I think too far for Jack.
Say, does have that breeze, which will go over his right shoulder, but
it would take a kick from 60, really.
I don't think he made 30 metres last week, was it, either?
Here he goes, just sets it up into the pocket, looking for a marker. Larky in good position, can't take the mark, free kick. The umpire's found one. It'll go to Larky, who will look at his third.
Just having a look at the replay, there was the left arm of Malira went around the waist of Larky.
I don't like that.
No, that and the jumper pause, the two cues the umpires look for. So technically there, but nothing in it.
Larky pokes it through. And the Kangas come again. 3 for Larky. It's back to single digits. 9 points. 10-8, 68 plays. 9-5, 59. 18 played in the third. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
And what I will say, that I reckon the kick from Darling was actually quite a smart kick. It wasn't a sort of high 9-iron, which gives the Adelaide defenders a chance to come off an air assist. It was almost that 3/4 5-iron where Larky was able to take a run and jump at it. And as we say so often, if you've got a forward jumping and leading at the ball, it does put the defenders under the pump and potentially make errors and draw free kicks, which he did on that occasion.
We talked about how the Kangaroos might get into this game, shut down the uncontested. They're actually winning it in this quarter, 23-15. Their kicking efficiency's at 86%. Adelaide's is 53. And they've done it 11 more times kicking in this third quarter.
Jerry down to Parker. Saligo kicks it forward to the top of the centre half forward. Walker gathers, manages to get a handball out to Keys, who can run onto his left foot from 45 metres out. The Crows needed that. And Ben Keys gets his second. Tough work from Walker. And Keys did the rest. Adelaide goes to 11-8, 74. The margin's back out to 15 points. 9-5, 59. 20 minutes gone.
That's just a deflating thing, isn't it, to the Kangaroos? You get yourself back into it, goes back to the middle of the ground, kick out, clearance, and Keys. Caleb Daniels been really good today, but he gave Keys too much space, didn't think he was going to be on the outside and couldn't shut him down.
Well, the other thing as well, I reckon Luke Parker actually got first possession in the centre bounce and then just coughed it up, but at the moment Adelaide have just got the answers, haven't they? As soon as there's a bit of scoreboard pressure coming from the Kangaroos, they just manage to find a quick response.
Every single time. That's what would be frustrating the Roos.
Almost
close, but they can't close.
If they can get one more to make the margin sort of less than a kick, then it's game on. But at the moment, they just can't close that gap.
Bounce favours Sherry. He's tackled there by O'Brien. Umpire crosses himself. Ball upcoming.
I think they were all waiting for it to call it back, weren't they?
Yeah.
O'Brien takes it out of the ruck. His kick's smothered there by Davies Uniacke, who has to go in again, trying to fish it out. He's led. O'Brien sockers it out, but straight to Simpkin. It gets rid of it to Constanti, out to Hansen Jr. Worried out of it. Hinge wins it. Crows back in possession. But they cough it up. Michael Lanny with an errant handball. But they go and win it again. There's a whistle and a tackle. So there was a whistle with a free kick to Hinge, and then Cumming was running away. He was tackled as he endeavoured to get away with a free kick coming back.
The cramping, I think, for Cumming. He's had some hamstring issues in the pre-season.
It's early to be cramping, isn't it? Still 9 minutes to go in this third quarter.
Coming off the ground as we speak. So Michael Annie's got it. Right half back for Adelaide was bumped by Curtis, and it's going to be a downfield free kick. Walker plays on quickly. He likes the one-on-one with Fogarty in front, who puts the Jukes out. Fisted away well there by Core. Worked it all the way back. Did well there in defence, did North Melbourne.
I reckon that's the second undisciplined act from Curtis.
Yes.
He gave away the 50 as well.
I thought that one was a little bit soft, though.
Yeah, call his jets.
But North Melbourne did well in defence, got it to Pink, who goes down the line. Ball's in dispute. Castanti putting the pressure on. Kick forward there by Parker. Inside the 50, but the Crows have the numbers. Laird does well. Got a lot of space on the outer side here for Dan Curtin.
Curtin can go for a run. He takes a bounce and a second.
Don't want to kick to up here. He's got to come back.
Now he'll take a third after feigning to kick infield. Now eventually kicks from true centre wing up to half forward. Walker's in a 2-on-1. Can't complete the mark at the ground level. McDonald's there for North. Back to Core and away to Scott. Scott runs back along that eastern wing. Pumps a kick up to half forward. Wants a marker. Bouncing ball out the back it goes. Constanti's onto it. He's bumped there by Worrell. Gets a handball away and out of play it goes. Half forward for the Roos. Throw in to come. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
I know you said it was a little early to have cramping in the game, but that certainly looks like Isaac Cummings' issue. He's just swilling some pickle juice now while the physios work on his hamstrings.
And even the kick from Curtin, I know it's easy up here in the commentary box, but he just had to come lateral and find a mark rather than kicking to a 3v1 when Walker was heavily outnumbered.
I can't eat a burger with pickles in it, let alone drink it.
Oh, that's a high tackle there from Sherry on Rankin. And Riley O'Brien goes to remonstrate and got knocked on his backside.
Big Riley.
Yeah, I reckon that one there, I reckon that's almost holding the ball.
When you
sorry,
slip,
I'll take that back.
When you slip, though, sometimes
that's
when
what
you're breaking the tackle. But
yeah, I thought he went lower, with a slip, but it wasn't. It was reckless.
So, swill of handballs here from Adelaide, and Laird kicks one forward down the line. Playing in front is North Melbourne, and Finn O'Sullivan, who did a pirouette and spin, got the handball out towards Tucker, who goes long inside the forward 50, fists it away. Read best by Rankin, who gets the hands out to Worrell, long on the left foot from the key defender out towards centre wing, and Walker in amongst three roos rips down the grab.
How could he been in a contested marking and just drops the sodas? An indifferent day by Taylor Walker on the half-back line.
Rose still by 15. Kicks around the eastern wing, and Sherry in front of O'Brien takes the mark.
Having a bit of a patch here at the moment, the Kangaroos.
Gives it off to Finn O'Sullivan. He kicks right back to centre half back for the Roos, and Caleb Daniel accepts. Stabs it up the middle, misses the target. Dangerous kick through the legs of Laird, who gets pushed over. That was a push from O'Sullivan. Laird in game 250 to get the kick. Pokes it short. He misses the target. Allows in Hanson Jr. for the Roos.
He chucks it on the left boot, going long to Curtis, who looks for the contact. Worrell did well. He's on top of the footy, though. Some support here for Curtis from Darling. Doing very well back there as the Crows' defence. Soccering off the deck, though, as the skipper and Simpkin to the top of the goal square. But that was brave from Curtin. He rode the tackle, got it to Hinge, and kicks long to O'Brien on the wing.
O'Brien just holds it up for the time being. Now he goes over the top, and Keys marks. The Crows able to just settle it down for a moment. Keys looking for a leading Peatling. Punched away by Core. Two former Giants. Then Caleb Daniel looks to slap it on. Draper comes in for the Crows. Handball for Peatling. Peatling loses it. Davies Uniacke knocks it out. And we'll get a throw in.
What about the ground ball? Sorry, Ben, the ground ball from Curtin.
Brilliant.
Last line of defence, just kept his head over the footy, was clean. Had pressure coming. Outstanding bit of play.
It was one of those awkwardly bouncing oval-shaped balls, and he was able to just beeline it.
Yep.
Take it clean. Brilliant.
It's clicking for Curtin, no doubt about that. Boundary throw in. Sherry just knocked it straight to Rankin, who directed some traffic, urged Fogarty to come to the footy, but he dropped the mark in front of McDonald. Left half forward for Adelaide. We'll have a boundary throw in. The margin's 15 points. We're 26 and a half minutes gone in this third quarter. But on the reverse clock, there's still over 5 minutes left. So that may be why some players are cramping out there, because there's still plenty of time left in this third quarter. Sherry just nursed Riley O'Brien under the ruck contest, but dropped it in the end. So the ball comes inside the Crows forward 50 dangerously towards the left forward pocket, but McDonald does well enough to get it out over the boundary line. And it's like that North Melbourne are going to make their sub very shortly, with Dylan Stevens getting ready to come onto the ground. We'll get the details on that shortly.
Looking at the ABC weather wall, Ben, 23 degrees, and it feels like 23 degrees.
Crows still by 15. Walker out of the ruck, snaps and goals. He's third. And the Crows kick away again. A 21-point buffer. 12-8-80 plays 9-5-59. 27 minutes into the third. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh.
Yeah, Dylan Stevens is about to be subbed into the game for North Melbourne. We're just waiting to see the player who is walking to the back. It looks like Robert Hanson Jr. might be the one who's tactically subbed out.
It's not as easy to do, but I would have thought, Josh, he's kicked 2 goals like that out of a ruck contest today. You know he's going to do it. Surely you've got to be on that right side of his body, deep in the forward 50 when something like that's going to happen.
Well, the other thing as well is that all the midfield coaches scout that, and he's got a history of a bit like the tomahawk. Now, trying to stop Tomahawk doing it's a different story, but Tex Walker, you're right. You've got to almost preempt that it's going to happen. I guess the other thing as well, they had no coverage in the goal square. They had no +1 in the goal square, and it just dribbled through. So, a couple of errors from the Kangaroos.
Derry knocks this one down. Parker read it best. Handballs to Daniel, who taps it to the other helmet man. And Sherry, a reversing of roles. Finn O'Sullivan, well, he took on his opposing number 2 keys and did brilliantly. Gets it to Caleb Daniel on the logo. Kicks inside the forward 50. Oh, almost a mark there up forward. Just dropped at the last minute. The Crows have the numbers and they can get out of there by hand at first. But the errant kick from Cumming works out in the end to Peatling, his former Giant teammate, now a Crow. Kicks towards Keys. He's got some support here in Phil Thorpe, but runs inside. Smothered ball. Brilliantly read by O'Sullivan. And the Stubbs Stevens gets the handball out to Tucker.
And now Tucker's under the pump and he coughs it up. Gives it straight off to Crouch. Crouch will kick towards half forward. And then just running in front of Fogarty Pink. Able to take the mark for the Roos across half back.
Ben Keys wanted Thilthorpe to put on a Shepherd, but he just couldn't catch up with both of them to put one in.
He kicks to Daniel, who goes to Core. Now they work at the Roos out towards that eastern wing. Mark taken out there by Scott. Crows lead it by 21. Scott with a high ball up towards Larkey at half forward off his hand. Spills inside 50. Hinge attacks it for the Crows. Comes up with the footy. Led. Away to Dawson. Off to Neil Bullen. Slips the tackle taken high. Free kick going the way of the Crow in the middle.
I reckon that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one that shouldn't be paid.
Yep.
Went to ground. That's a bit stiff there on Cherry.
Yep. Lifted up the shoulder there too. Neil Bullen did well to win the free kick. Goes long towards Thilthorpe, who wins the one-on-one in front of Cobden. 35 metres out, 45-degree angle.
But I guess in fairness to the umpires, it happens so quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And they're making the decision, split-second decision, but that was the one I was almost referring to on the other side with Rankin, but definitely sort of went to ground and lifted that shoulder and drew the free kick. But well played, I guess.
Got the great man next door to us doing some commentary through somebody else. I think he was the initiator, wasn't he?
I think you're right.
Yes, Joel Selwood.
Yep.
Phil Thorpe kicks, and that's a sandbag. That went right, that went left, it went up and down and through the middle. Phil Thorpe kicks his second. Adelaide goes to 13-8-86. North Melbourne 9-5-59. 30 minutes gone. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Meanwhile, we've got Isaac coming back on the physio mat. He's really having trouble with his sort of quads, I would suggest. It looks cramping. He came sort of limping from the ground, but he should be right to get back on as soon as he can.
All right, Tom, that footy shouldn't have even done that, should it? Like, he has miskicked that on the instep of his right foot, and it's gone very left, and then it's actually come back to the right.
I reckon he channeled Stephen Kernahan.
Wow, he
used to kick a few flow bags, didn't he?
Well, Kerner's... he couldn't... Carlton played a lot of footy under lights, and he wore lenses, contact lenses, and he said half the time he couldn't see them.
27 points, the Crows lead, and they come out of the middle again. There's a holding free kick. It'll go to the Roos and Simpkin. Yeah,
helicopters.
He called it perfectly, Tom. It did go left, right, up and down. It was, as Ken Judge, who we used to work with, would have called it one with the lot. Simpkin goes short. Mark taken by Scott. The Roos chipping it around. Short to O'Sullivan. Near the attacking edge of the square here.
22-10 marks in this quarter, the Kangaroos.
Nothing O'Sullivan likes yet. Chips it short again, and Simpkin between the edge of the square and the 50.
Probably more importantly, the margin's now 27 points. They need a goal here, the Kangaroos.
Roos in the slow play, kicks inside 50, and Hinge in the last line for the Crows takes the mark at fullback.
Quickly kicks towards the goal kicker and Thilthorpe. He marks left half back. Outer side of the ground. Lowers the eyes to find Scholl.
Under 2 minutes remaining, Tom. Adelaide looked to slowing the football down.
Almost 33 minutes gone in this third term. Scholl kicks long down the line. Compton playing in front of Dawson. He's had quite a day by his standards. He hasn't needed to be big because Saligo has. He gets the clearance, goes inside the forward 50. but that was read best by the sub in Stevens. Takes the intercept mark, crosses the ball to another South Aussie boy in Daniel. Stevens onto his left-hand side, handball to McCurch. Put himself under a lot of pressure. He was mobbed by two Crows. Curtin has all the time in the world, but missed Fogarty, who grabbed it with one hand, went the fend off on Parker, who said, "Don't argue with me."
That was brute strength. I think Fogg would normally just do that and fend off his opponent, but Luke Parker just absolutely wrapped him up.
Tries to finesse a kick towards a teammate on the logo, and it's chopped off by the Crows, and Rankin brings it to ground, gives it to Neil Bullen, forward of the wing, waits a neat kick, infield for Curtin.
25 seconds.
55 out from the attacking goal for the Crows. Looks into the pocket, Thilthorpe or Fogarty, the third of the two options, and Pink for the Roos. In the back pocket he marks and goes to Scott, who wants to set off for a run.
Yep, they're still trying to score here, North Melbourne. Could have run the clock down. Drop mark over there by Michaelani. LDU somehow got that forward. Gets it to Curtis, who's taking his time, goes by hand to Powell, and there's the three-quarter time siren. What a fascinating quarter it was. North Melbourne got off to a great start. They kicked 3 of the first 4 goals, but Adelaide got 4 of the next 5, all through multiple goal kickers. There was a great highlight early in that quarter. Sid Draper with his first AFL goal. Dan Curtin got his second. Benny Keys as well. Taylor Walker got his third, a second from the ruck. And Riley Philthorpe with the last one there. Adelaide 13-8-86. North Melbourne 9-5-59 at three-quarter time.
5 multiple goal kickers for the Adelaide Crows. Walker with 3, Philthorpe with 2, Curtin with 2, Keys with a couple as well, and Darcy Fogarty 2. Neil Bullen with 1, and Sid Draper the sub, his first goal in AFL footy. While for North Melbourne, Larkey has 3, 2 going the way of Paul Curtis, then singles to Simpkin, Darling, Constanti and Zurha. That makes up their 9 goals. So three-quarter time on the SMS line. Kevin in Shenton Park. Ben, I can't stop thinking about that Cray Sanger. Me too. Kevin, Shane in Victoria, 15-metre rule. Why don't the ground staff at all grounds mow the grass to be visible in 15-metre squares to assist the umpires in estimating the 15-metre distance? It makes sense, wouldn't it? Instead, we've got some thick, some thin diagonal lines here at the Adelaide Oval, which may or may not be 15 metres, more likely 10, the thick ones, and the smaller ones maybe 5. So,
come up with 2 scenarios that could actually make the game better. The red light on round, and then cutting the grass.
Cut the grass in quadrants, or sort of horizontal and vertical lines. I think that makes sense. The analysis of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco coming up next. This is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. The Crows by 27.
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast with Premiership coach Paul Roos. Alongside Corbin Middlemass, Ben Cameron and Poppy Penny. ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Curtis at the fall of the ball. Centre half forward for the Roos. Parker gathers. Snaps cleverly. Out to the half-forward flank. Darling can cross the 50, either sticks, and kick the goal. Kangas with the first of the second half. Rankin kicks up the wing, a 3-on-1. Curtin does well to bring it down, then wins it at ground level. Dribbles it towards 50. Spills for Thilthorpe. Off to Draper. Off to the races. Settles 15 out. Kicks the goal. His first in league footy.
Saligo kicks it forward. The top of the centre half forward, Walker gathers, manages to get a handball out to Keys, who can run onto his left foot from 45 metres out. The Crows needed that.
Crows still by 15. Walker out of the right, snaps and goals. His third.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Crows by 27 at the final change following this match. We've got Western Derby number 60. Clint Wilden is in position to call it all. Clint.
Ben, yes indeed, Derby 60, 17th versus 18th for the first time in a Derby. Both sides head into the contest with only losses in their ledgers. Who will get the first win of the season? Who will go 0-3? All of the focus has been on Justin Longmuir. The Dockers coach in his 6th season desperately needs his team to get a victory today against the arch rivals, the West Coast Eagles. But it is a West Coast Eagles home game, so 50,000 Eagles fans in attendance. It's a little bit cooler than we thought it might be. No clouds really in the sky to speak of, but about 27 degrees. And the Dockers have had to make some late changes. O'Meara out through illness. He was outstanding last week, 32 disposals, picked up 5 coaches' votes as well. So Jager O'Meara out, and Wagner misses too. Corey Wagner out with calf awareness. Coming into the side, Aish and Warner will join the debutant, Isaiah Dudley, smallest player in the game at 168 centimetres, picked up in the SSP a little bit earlier in the season. West Coast and Fremantle coming up for you very soon. Ben?
Thank you, Clint. Can hardly wait for that. I'll be certainly tuning in, and those of you in WA will take you immediately to the build-up of Western Derby 60 at the conclusion of this match. Everyone else will take you slightly thereafter.
Who was the smallest player?
Isaiah Dudley, 168.
So Caleb Daniel is 171, just to give some sort of context.
He towers over him.
Does tower over him.
It's wild, isn't it?
168.
Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson, what have you made of this one?
Well, I thought the Kangaroos actually threw a bit at Adelaide that quarter, and they got the margin down to 8 points, which was about halfway through that third quarter, and unfortunately weren't able to close the gap any further. And to Adelaide's credit, they just kept coming up with the answers. Whenever that margin got to a point where it started to get a little bit nervy, they were able to respond and kick a major. So the margin now 27 points. North Melbourne in that third quarter were able to arrest the uncontested. I think you mentioned that throughout that quarter, Jamo. They were able to arrest that uncontested possession imbalance, and probably largely due to the fact they went a bit more kick mark. They had 28 uncontested marks in that third quarter, but big quarter here. Really important first centre bounce, an important first goal. I reckon Adelaide kick it almost snuffs them out. Kangaroos kick it, potentially game on.
I think Al Clarkson will be really happy with that third quarter, and just they've made that change at half time.
Yep.
45 to 58 uncontested and 14 marks to 28 in favour of the Kangaroos. So they had control, 4 goals straight, 5-3 for Adelaide. And here we are, 27 points up, Adelaide going into the last quarter.
Underway in the final term, trying to get involved. Sherry at ground level feeds out a handball, pinched by Peatling. He'll kick long for the Crows to fall forward. Thilthorpe marks it on his way back to ground. After juggling it, he comes down with it. And he'll kick from the goal square to give the Crows the first of the fourth.
Well, I tell you what, you talk about turnovers and fumbles. You just can't afford to fumble the ball in this game. And I think it was Shizu in the centre. Tried to receive a handball, fumbled the ball. I think it was Peatling that got on the back of that and sent it inside 50 for Thilthorpe.
Adelaide's boy has become their man as he puts through his third. And the Adelaide Crows lead by 33 points. 14-8, 92 plays 9-5, 59. Less than a minute into the fourth.
Just so quick, and the target deep in the square as he was. It was just a one-on-one, so brute strength. But you're right, just too easy. That clearance just straight out of the centre for Adelaide. Great speed. What better start?
Yeah, and just looking at the replay, if it wasn't a mark, I think it would have been a free kick with front-on contact. But I guess that's the advantage of having a Riley Thilthorpe ahead of the footy. You can kick it to him one-on-one and you're always going to get a contest.
They must know each other. They're actually laughing to each other and having a chat in the square.
A few pushing, shoving moments. There's a lot of talk going on between the key forwards and key backs, and the Crows and Roos respectively, back in the middle of the ground. O'Brien was tackled and it spilled to Dawson, who kicked it forward. Leading in the race is Stevens for North Melbourne. Handballs over the top to Sheasel, back to Comden, who's all the way back in his defensive 50. Kicks under pressure and hinges in the hole. Dropped the mark though. Zerha did well to worry him out of it. McKercher fumbled at the wrong time in front of Cumming, and Sheasel takes it out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in 75 metres around from Adelaide's goal, members' side of the ground.
Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Great to have you with us. Round 3 from the Adelaide Oval.
See you back here in a couple of weeks too.
Yeah, back here for Gather Round with the rest of the footy world converging from all parts of the country. Got the 2 games in the Barossa through the short straw there.
Shannon Hearn.
Yeah.
Should be the ambassador for that round.
North come away with the footy. Davies Uniacke gives it away towards Stevens. His kick smothered, and it spills for the Crows through Soligo. On their half-back flank, Hinge up towards the wing. Kicks a mongrel up to half-forward. Lands in the lap of Peatling. Off to Neil Bullen. Forward handball. Walker does a 360-degree spin. Turns on goal. Snaps on goal. Kicks it. He did the full pirouette loop and eventually snapped the goal unless it was touched.
I think it's made the distance too, but again, Alex Neil-Bullen just should have had the shot on goal. He gave the handball. The defence of the Kangas were able to get there, which stopped Taylor Walker. Just an easy one on the right. He had to swing back on the left, and he snapped that from 48 out.
Was it touched on the line? I think it was.
Yeah.
Caleb Daniel. Yeah.
Did he actually touch it?
As long as he's actually touched it, he has.
Yeah, he touched it. It was like the play went into slow motion.
Yeah.
Everyone stopped. Taylor Walker just ambled around. I was trying to work out how many degrees there were in a full spin, whether it was 270 or 360 or 180, but eventually Caleb Daniel got his fingertips on it. So it will be the Crows by 34 points.
It's the height of Caleb Daniel. Just so valuable in that last line of defence.
The wingspan.
171 centimetre wingspan.
I know you just told me his name and I've forgotten it again. Freo, he wouldn't have got anywhere near that.
Isaiah Dudley.
Yeah,
would have been 3 centimetres short.
Yeah, wouldn't have been able to get his hand on it.
He's at the other end of the ground. Excited for his debut. Daniel does bring it out of defence now. Goes long. Sherry dropped the mark, but goes again. Underground handball there from Powell towards Scott. That's the boundary throw-in. Umpire sort of did the motion of deliberate, but that would have been brutal call. So we'll have a throw-in. Outer side of the ground, right half forward for Adelaide, who are well on top to start this final term with a 34-point lead. Sherry doesn't give up though. Goes the underground handball, gets it to Peatling though instead, and Soligo goes forward and finds Keys, who immediately points to the big sticks. He's going to need a kick of over 50 on a 45-degree angle, but he is on the right side for a left footer.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see the replay of that. His defender, I reckon, just dropped off.
Caleb Daniel.
Was it?
It's him, yeah. So he's back now just by the square, but he was like 30 metres away from him.
But Keys changes his mind. Flat ball towards Thilthorpe, who dropped the mark with the big jukes. Tackled. Handballs out to Rankin, who snaps. Away to the left. Might have been the sealer if it wasn't already. Minus score to Adelaide. They go to 14-10-94. North Melbourne 9-5-59. 5 minutes gone. Final term.
Caleb Daniel with the kick in. Short to Colby McKercher. That went just the bare 15 if it did. McKercher short again. Puts a teammate under pressure. Gets it back McKercher. Runs across his defensive line into the back pocket. And he'll kick up to the half-back flank. The Crows are there in number. Getting involved though, Bailey Scott for the Roos, and now they try to bounce off half-back. Crows still pressuring. Powell picks it up. Handball for Sheasel. Sweeping handball. Cumming punches it into the pocket. Keys is onto it. Off to Dawson. Chips a kick for Thilthorpe too wide. Out on the full, Thilthorpe takes a nice mark, but it was in row 1.
Really good defence by Adelaide too. The Kangas just couldn't exit at all. Went sideways. 4 inside 50s to 0 in this quarter.
So Comben in the back pocket goes short to McKercher, who moves it across to Toby Pink, who can relieve the Roos up to the wing.
Goes towards Sherry, fisted down by O'Brien. That's been a good contest today. Caleb Daniel goes in board. The kick was just too short for Davies Uniacke, but he did well on the half volley. Rolled around rather on his left boot. Darling grabs the footy, braces the tackle, gets pulled to ground, got it out to Simpkin in the end. Some good hands in there from Worrell, but North Melbourne still have it. Powell kicks wide to Parker, who marks on the 50. Has Curtis as an option, has Larkey as a long option, all on his own in the pocket, but he still finds a teammate in Constanti, who marks 25 metres out in a slight angle. Boy, did he have options.
I'll tell you what, Larkey wasn't happy he didn't kick it to him. I just watched his body language after he decided to kick it a little bit more corridor. Had Larkey next to the point post almost all on his own, but in the end, it worked out okay for the Roos.
Couldn't see him. Point post, and the branding's the same colour as Angus' jumper.
Yeah, Curtis was open, Larkey was open, and Constanti as well. And that's who's got the footy. Already has one this afternoon. Kicks from 35 metres out, slightly to the left. And it was straight through the middle. An important one for the Roos to keep them in this game. Jacob has 2. North Melbourne 10-5-65. Adelaide 14-10-94. That's a 29-point margin. Almost 8 minutes gone in the final term on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Isaac Cummings just head down into the rooms accompanied by a physio. So they're down 1 on the bench, the Crows. He didn't look to be limping or anything, so I'm not quite sure what the issue is. I'll keep an eye on it.
Well, it's probably a good thing that the margin is what it is. If it was a close game and you're down a rotation, that could have potentially hurt the Crows. Obviously, they've already activated their sub in Draper, but interesting. He's probably got a full body cramp that he just can't shake.
Get any of those, Josh or Jamo?
No, I don't know if I ever ran that fast or that far, I think, in the game.
Bounce back in the middle. Sherry taking it out of the ruck. He's tackled quickly. Eventually gets rid of it, but a winner free kick anyway.
I have done with the tour down unders over here with the bike ride.
Yeah.
It was one day we did, it was 43 degrees and I did cramp, and for the last 25 kilometres I just couldn't find anything.
Massive tackle on McKercher. He's caught holding the ball. Yeah, that's understandable in that heat. Crows with it through Hinge, who laid the tackle at halfback. Moves it to Crouch. He goes for a run. Bites off the kick to Fogarty. Good kick. Fogarty does well to mark. Now Fogarty looks long inside 50. Touched off the boot. Floating inside 50. Ball hits the deck. Peatling's there. Handball away. Saligo going in low. Wants the high free kick. Gets it. Do you like that or dislike it? Rod Jamison, Josh Franco.
I think that's the one you're encouraged, isn't it? Like Saligo sees him coming and then bends over and cops the high tackle. So again, you go, is it high? He encouraged it. He brought it on. I've seen a little bit this year too, you know, when players do sort of sling their head as well.
Yeah. Well, I think isn't the cue for the umpire if they see that arm go up to try to force the high tackle, which it did on that occasion. I actually reckon that's almost holding the footy.
In the coaches' votes last week, he kicks a goal here and goes with the double Cobra. Pretty happy with it, Jake Saligo. The Crows by 35 points, 15-10, 100. They passed that number again into triple figures, 10-5-65. 10 minutes played, final term on Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
And again, I guess I go back to the comment I made earlier around the umpires, and they've got a split second. We get to watch it up here in the box on a slow motion replay. They're making that in real time, which is potentially challenging. But so I can understand why they do make errors. But I reckon that occasion, if you try to draw the free kick with a high tackle, it's either holding the footy or play on.
The great thing about Adelaide at the moment, I guess, is their ability to be able to score. They're the third week in a row that they're over 100 points, and albeit the opposition last week kicked that, they'd be really happy at the moment that they've actually negated the Kangaroos to the 10 goals, and at the moment only 65 points.
Tough contest there between Simpkin and Laird. And balled over the top, back to Simpkin on the logo. Stevens, he's on his wrong side, so he wants that left foot. Goes with it anyway, looking for Larkey. Falls short of him. He goes again in the contest, and it's punched away by Keenan. Larkey responded there in front of 3 umpires, definitely punched him in the body. No one reacted. We'll have a ball up, but he'll probably cop a fine.
Did he punch him in the body, or did he...
I think he went through his neck. I reckon he swung around really with an open hand.
Yeah, it was on the body.
Yeah.
Right, Tom. I shouldn't have doubted you.
Just on the peck.
Yep.
Not sure he would have done that in an Irish pub against Mark Keane, who apparently gets into weekly barneys with his teammates. That's the way he trains, and he's got the footy now. Oh, no, it's Hinge who goes short. Was going to go short to Miller, but goes over the top to Worrell.
That's a superb kick then.
Now it should all open up for the Crows as Miller kicks up to half forward. Neil Bullen running back with the flight. Can't gather it on the bounce, so Sullivan can for the Roos. Handball to a teammate, put him under the pump, and Sheasel wrapped up in the tackle. We'll get a ball up. Attacking edge of the square here for the Roos. Game high lead for the Crows, 35 points. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. O'Brien slaps it down. Sheasel sharks it. Kicks the Kangas up to the wing. Wide out. Larkey trying to tap it down to a teammate. Does well to get it to Tucker. Clever little tap on from the Roos. Now Larkey running after it. Crows everywhere. They're all around him. And he's tackled to ground. A ball up between wing and half forward here for the Roos.
That's the one I'm just talking about. Larkey's actually swung. He's over the footy. You watch his head. See, here he just throws his head up there. So he's trying to claim that Keane's gone too high on him, but in the end,
good decision.
The umpire saw through it.
Simpkin in front of Crouch, takes him on, takes the bounce, runs into forward 50, takes on Hinge in the tackle, just got the handball away to Constanti. McKercher, handballs to Tucker, who goes the 1-2 with Parker, goes to the top of the goal square, and they all just fall over in a heap. Curtis handballs it to Stevens, and he gets onto his left foot for a snap and kicks the goal. It's pretty messy, but we're in an outcome-based industry, and they got the goal. North Melbourne 11-5-71, Adelaide 15-10-100. 13 minutes gone, final term.
It resembled a 10-pin bowling, didn't it, really? 1 or 2 went over and then 3 or 4 fell over. Last man standing.
They did go down like 9 pins. So North Melbourne get it back to a 29-point margin. I mentioned 13 minutes gone, but still over 12 minutes left on the game clock. So it's still plenty of time left in this game.
I say, obviously, we'll debrief it more once the siren goes, but has North Melbourne been honourable today?
I think they have.
Yeah.
I think they have. I think the first half, they kept themselves in it and they changed the way that they played in the third quarter. They just haven't really been able to get their hands on the footy in this last quarter.
Beautiful tap from O'Brien, hooking around the back, Dawson onto it. His kicker floater out to half forward, bouncing ball, Walker tracks it, bounces off his hands, Comben tackled out. 46,511 in attendance.
Zerha in the centre bounce then against O'Brien.
I don't mind that, actually.
Yeah.
Not probably necessarily in the ruck, but...
Yeah, sorry, I should have said,
he's a bit of a bull, though, isn't
he is. Throw in half forward here for the Roos. Darling and O'Brien. O'Brien punches it back over the boundary line, and we had another throw in. Liz Walsh.
Fresh off kicking a goal now, it's Jake Saligo with a bit of cramp. He's actually gargling the pickle juice down here, so that's a new one.
I think that's how you meant to.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were meant to gargle it too rather than the swill.
Swill for 20-odd seconds. Probably more of a placebo, but if it works, it works. Pete Link, he gets the clearance. He kicks a very high snap ball towards the goal square. There was some holding on. The umpire said they were playing for it. That was the Crows forward. Fogarty's got it to Crouch. Tight spaces up against the boundary line. Running through a gap was coming. Has he got enough on it? No, he hasn't. That's going to be grabbed there by Comben in front of Curtin in the goal square. And they can settle things very tight up against the paint there.
Why wouldn't you just eat pickles for breakfast? Or a game?
Because I think it's the impact that the pickle juice with its salt content has on your, or the impact it has on your gag reflexes stops your body from cramping. It stops your muscles from twitching. That's, I think, the medical explanation we've received. Someone will correct me on the SMS. As the Roos cough it up across halfback, onto it the Crows. Peeling, he'll chip it inside 50, and Tex is there. He marks, has enough of it.
Got to be 50.
40 out, slight angle to the right.
Just on the cramping too, guys, I think quinine, which is found in tonic water, is what counteracts cramping. It's a quinine. It's a quinine. Again, someone can text in, but I'm pretty sure that's if you have too much of that in your system, it's a banned substance. But you drink tonic water for cramp.
Right.
I drink that from time to time.
Do you?
Yeah. It's got a bit of a weird taste.
Yeah, I'm not big on...
I haven't cramped for a while, mate.
Guarantees either, but...
You haven't cramped on the Moseley dance floor for a while?
Here comes Taylor Walker.
On any dance floor.
Having a look at his fourth and putting a little cherry on top. The Crows, they're dancing their way towards a victory. They lead by 35 points. 16-10, 106, plays 11-5-71. 16 into the fourth. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco.
Well, I go back to what I said pre-game around how dynamic the Adelaide Crows forward line is. When you've got a guy like Tex Walker, who is how old? 35?
34.
34. He's 34 years old, and he still can contribute in a game like today and kick 4 goals. So, again, if they get enough forward entries, with the dynamic and the mix of the forwards that they've got ahead of the footy there, dangerous proposition moving forward, the Crows.
I think it's the right outlook too, because you've got the ability to then manage, haven't you, as well, where the other theory is that, gee, if he's leading your way up in your forward line, then you've got a serious problem with the age that he is. But I think the forward line is pretty dynamic.
That one went way outside the circle. Every player waited for that to be called back. The umpire just let them play on. Very strange. Ball goes back into North Melbourne's forward 50 from that contest. Hinge read it best. He kicked it out of defence looking for Thilthorpe. He was in the ruck before. Sheasel overran it. Roving is Rankin. Can he shape the tackle from Darling? Just enough to get a handball. Sheasel embraced the tackle and caught one high according to the umpire. That one goes against Sid Draper. That was strange in the middle of the ground. Like that went 15 metres towards North Melbourne's end from the bounce. I digress because North Melbourne go further back. McDonald goes all the way to Combe, who's marked it now 30 metres out from Adelaide's goal. They've gone back 50 metres.
Yeah.
Still don't have a lot of options. That came off his ankle, put Stevens under a lot of pressure. It's 3-on-1. Swiped away by Taylor Walker, who was looking for a handful, but pulled it away to the right-hand side off his left boot. Minus score. Adelaide 16-11-107, North Melbourne 11-5-71. Almost 20 minutes gone, final term.
I reckon Tex Walker, Sam Mitchell, the only two I've ever seen where their opposite foot looks just as fluent as their preferred.
Robbie Flower going back a little bit early.
Yeah.
Comben with the kick in out to Stevens. He moves it up to the wing with a short kick for Larkey.
Darren Mullane had a good left foot.
But that should be play on that one.
Larkey again to McKercher, just to 10 metres.
Holland Robinson,
15.
From Hawthorn, number 32.
Leon Cameron was pretty good on both sides, wasn't he?
Sorry.
Toby McKercher. I don't think as good as Taylor Walker and Sam Mitchell.
We were waffling there too. The footy was just going around in circles and now is out of bounds.
Yep.
Gary Ablett Senior.
Adelaide Crows by 36 points, 16-11-107, plays 11-5-71. 19 and a half minutes into the fourth. Western Derby 60 to follow this match.
Thilthorpe versus Sherry. Simpkin knocked that down towards Stevens, but the tackle from Cumming was slightly high.
I reckon that's the same one again. He's just lifted that left shoulder or arm. Anyway, we've probably said enough about it.
Tips over the top to Simpkin, who goes inside the forward 50. Getting a good run at that was Larkey. Ball Ace, I think, claimed the mark there. All the Crows players are asking for it, but players dive in and we'll have a ball up 40 metres out on a 45-degree angle in front of North's goal. Knocked straight down towards Rankin in the contest. His ball goes straight up in the air. Play on, says the umpire. Thilthorpe knocked it down to Laird, to Dawson. He snapped it round the body, and Comben was too strong for Fogarty, who's had a tough day. He's kicked 2 goals, but has had just the 5 touches.
Oh, that's his second kick.
There's another sandbag ball deep inside the 50, and Dawson was waiting for it, and he takes the intercept mark.
There's shadows just beginning to stretch out over the Adelaide Oval. Still a glorious afternoon.
No one on the mark.
We just amble and then kick up towards the wing. Thilthorpe, the beast, comes into mark. Crows by 36. As big as it's been their lead. Kicks around the western wing, up towards Fogarty. Comben there again. Comben with the hand on it. Fogarty follows up at ground level. McDonald gathers for the Roos. Gives it off to Corsh. Short kick, good for Parker. 21 minutes into the fourth.
Been good today, Luke Parker.
Crows about to go 3-0. What a start for Matty Nix and the Crows in a year they simply must play finals. High kick coming from Parker up to a contest, and Dawson, the skipper, juggles the mark surely. Umpire says no, let me ball it up. I'm not sure about that.
That's not a very good decision.
I think the cue's in the rack from the Crows, the Roos and the umpires at the moment.
He was in front. That was on this.
Riley O'Brien in the contest with Sherry. Crouch just picked up the footy and gets wrapped up by the big ruckman. We'll do it all again. So a 36-point margin. 22 minutes gone in the final term. Adelaide off to What's going to be a 3-0 start. Worried out of that contest there. It's North Melbourne and Dawson to Rankin to Thilthorpe, who plays on quickly. Running back brilliantly was Draper, the younger. Smart running. He takes the mark 40 metres out on a slight angle to the left.
Now, once again, just a terrific kick inside 50 from the big fella in Thilthorpe. He had, I think it was Key, streaming to go on a one-on-one. It would have been about a 55-metre kick, but just lowered the eyes and just dropped the ball into space for Draper to get onto.
Had a good look at it today, Draper, having to come onto the ground. Josh Rochelle was out with a nasty rib injury. So he spent a bit more time out there, kicked his first AFL goal. He's got a chance at a second. Can he be perfect? He can! Draper gets his second to the roar of the home crowd. He gets mobbed again. There's so much excitement about Sid the Kid. Adelaide 17-11, 113. North Melbourne 11-5-71. That's a 42-point margin in the final term.
Yeah, Adelaide's kicking has been good. They have turned it over and allowed the Kangaroos to intercept, certainly on 4 occasions where it's blatantly missed the target. But today, or overall, they're going at 66% for their kicking. Kangaroos overall 74%. Have a look at this particular quarter. Their execution is actually really quite good. And I think that's made a massive difference, and it's allowed Adelaide to play the way that they actually seriously want to play.
Well, what have we still got? 6 minutes of this final quarter. The margin's 42 points. The Kangaroos, in terms of credibility and where they're headed, they've just got to hang on here.
Those of you in WA will send you to Western Derby 60 at the conclusion of this match as North come away with it again. They've been better than a shellacking North, so they don't want this to blow out late. Powell gives it to Simpkin. He'll kick long inside 50, looking for a marker. Curtis Larkey goes to ground. Free kick, Larkey. Payne gives away the free kick. Constanti comes over and just bundles over Keane.
Can you get fined for taking a dive?
Can.
It's a fair question. Yep. I reckon he should get fined for that, Keane.
There wasn't a whole lot in it there, and he's claiming he was held.
Yeah, he might get fined for that.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Larkey pops it through, a consolation for the Kangas. He's got 4. Adelaide lead by 36, 17-11, 113. Plays 12-5, 77, 25 minutes into the fourth.
Well, I think the problem that Keane had there, just looking at the replay, he wasn't looking at the footy. So it was that front-on contact. Is it shepherding? I'm not even sure what he paid in the end, the umpire. But, again, not much in it, but took his eyes off the footy, Keane, and Larkey cashed in.
I wonder if the umpire can actually understand him, the Irishman. Have you heard him talk?
Yeah.
It's difficult to understand, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He's got a very thick accent. You got in the women's team Neve Kelly, her accent's less thick, she's easy to understand, but Mark, he's a fascinating character.
I was listening to an Irish comedian and he couldn't even understand what Mark King was saying.
Back in the middle of the ground, Saligo. This is a breakout season he's having. He streams forward, kicks towards his teammate in Fogarty, who gathers the footy in front of Pink, but just as he is about to kick it, he realised he was going out over the boundary line, so we'll have a throw-in right in front of all those fans, in front of the famous scoreboard here at Adelaide Oval.
Talk about Neve Kelly, Tom, AFLW, who joined her sister, Grace Kelly.
That's right. One of the great names. It's going to be great to see. The contest. Thilthorpe in the ruck to Rankin to Saligo. That came off the side of his boot, the wrong side of his boot, and goes out over the boundary line on the full, next to the right-hand behind post.
Well, it's interesting as well. Pre-game, one of the questions I posed was, are Adelaide the real deal? I'm not sure today the game has made it any clearer in my mind, because they haven't ever really been challenged, have they?
Hangers putting themselves under pressure, trying to work it out of the D50. Big tackle coming from Hinge. Puts Colby McKercher under the pump. Scott has to pick it up, give it to Powell. He'll kick beyond the arc out on the full. Looking for Darling. It's just a little too wide. And Riley O'Brien with the football. 70 from home. The big ruckman looks into the pocket, looking for a mark at Rankin. He takes it 25 out. Slide or tight angle in the right forward pocket.
I just want to... Sorry, go, Gemma.
No, sorry, I was just going to say the next 3 weeks might tell a little bit of that. They've got to play the Gold Coast, Geelong, and then GWS. So, 6 weeks. We'll get a bit of an indication as to where Adelaide's at.
Well, I guess one of the features of Adelaide's game today has been their pressure on the ball and their tackle count. So they're plus 14 at the moment in terms of them v North Melbourne with the tackles. That's been a feature of their game.
Going with the outside of the right boot. He's an artist. He missed. Hit the post. Crows by 37. 28 minutes into the fourth.
Tackles inside 50, 13-7 in favour of Adelaide.
Opportunity here for Constanti on the wing. Handballs to a flood of Crows players. Hinge in there. He gets tackled hard by Larkey, and we'll have a ball up right on the logo. Centre wing, members' side of the ground. Crows leading by 37 points. 3 minutes left. O'Brien over the top of Darling, who goes the don't argue, gets it down to Powell. He kicks it to centre half forward, punched away by Keane. Going hard was Stevens, but McKercher read it best to Bailey Scott, who handballed it behind Sheasel. A hospital ball to O'Sullivan. He rode the tackle perfectly on Dawson. Runs forward, kicks on his left foot over towards Curtis, who was outnumbered, and that gets fisted out over the boundary line near the left behind post, and we'll have a throw in deep inside North Melbourne's 50.
Seen it a couple of times, haven't we? But if you get O'Sullivan gets tackled, he does a 360. He's been contained, he's been held, yet it's still play on.
I think that should be the limit.
Darling slaps it down there to pick it up. Zerhart. Crows swarm from every direction, and they win a free kick holding the ball. Constanti is constrained and pinged in the end. Free kick going the way of Isaac Rankin.
I actually thought that was one of the umpire's cues when they do a 360. That should be called.
Picks up towards halfback. The Roos win it back. Sheasel away to Scott. He's tackled by Laird, holding the ball. Rory Laird gets a moment in game 250. He's had a lot of them. To be fair, he's had 30 disposals.
Yeah. Been a great game.
Yeah.
It'll be 31.
Look, that just finds the ball so much. Whether he's mid, whether he's back, he just keeps finding the leather.
On the 1-2 there with Rankin. So that'll get to 32. 14 contested possessions, 17 uncontested. 3 clearances as well.
That's a good kick.
Score involvement's beautiful kick forward. Keys has got it on the wing. Handball's wide. That ball's chipped over the top to Saligo. He can go on board to Keys. He does now. Who goes onto his left foot. Long inside the forward 50. Flying over the top. A good spoil there from Pink. Waiting down is Neil Bullen. Gets the handball to Fogarty, who's wrapped up in a strong tackle by McDonald. Very well done. He hasn't given up, the former skipper.
Just the anomaly. He's had 32 disposals, Rory Laird that is, but he's only 100 metres gained.
Kangas working it out.
Maybe he's kicked back quite a bit. And also the defenders to maintain possession.
Well, he's had 20 handballs too. So.
Simpkin with the ball on the halfback flank goes to McKercher, who moves it on to Curtis. He chips it over the top. Has a runner in O'Sullivan. Takes it in stride. Flicks a clever handball to Sheasel, who lowers the eyes and hits up a leading target. Coming out to mark is Davies Uniac. 35 out directly in front.
Give North Melbourne credit. They haven't tossed the towel in, have they? There's always going to be a tough ask coming over here, playing against an in-form Adelaide. But they have hung in there. I'll give them credit for that.
On the runway, Davies Uniac, their best and fairest winner. Thumps it on target. Misses away to the left.
And then their perfect record will remain.
It will remain for the Crows. They'll get to 3 and zip.
I mean, the Kangaroos, they've never won here at Adelaide Oval.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will go to 0 and 12 here at the Adelaide Oval.
Strong mark there from Riley Philthorpe. Bursting off centre wing.
Is that the only club that has not won here?
Question.
Gold Coast?
Every chance.
Gold Coast would be the guess. I know Giants have definitely won here. Going inside the forward 50. Working hard as Fogarty. Did well to get the handball out. Curtin sent it. The ball just missed the target. Was the right idea. Neil Bullen waiting down. Sheasel for North Melbourne. Handballs to McKercher, who finds a target in Darling. Defensive side, centre wing. Plays on quickly looking for Curtis, who marks in front of Michael Laney, who threw him down pretty hard. He's asking for him to be moved back. And there it is. Adelaide with another impressive performance. They score another 100 points. Rory Laird gets a big win in his 250th game. The Crows go 3-0.
We're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation, our determination shows. We're the pride of South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
They led by 4 points at quarter time, 18 at the half, 27 at three-quarter time, and won by 36 in the finish.
Coast to coast, where the story will be told. As we fight the rugged battles, the flag will be our goal. Our skill and nerve will see us through. Our commitment never grows. We're the pride of South Australia. We're the mighty Adelaide Crows. Yes, the pride of South Australia. We're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
So the goal kickers, Walker with 4, Thilthorpe 3, then 2 to Keys, to Curtin, to Fogarty and Draper, singles to Neil Bullen and Saligo for North, 4 to Larkey, 2 to Curtis, 2 to Constanti, and singles to Josh Simpkin, Dylan Stevens, Darling and Zerha. For those of you in WA, you're off to Western Derby number 60. While for everyone else, we've got a few more minutes to wrap it up from the Adelaide Oval. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco, how did that play out? How did the Crows do it?
Well, I think we all agreed. I think we all picked Adelaide and they should win. We weren't quite sure what the margin might be. 36 is probably around maybe 4 to 5 goals, so it's probably landed where it is. But I think, again, for Adelaide to be able to score like they did and get it over 100 points to keep the Kangaroos to 12 goals, they've actually done really well. I think there were glimpses of where they played really good, polished, succinct and methodical football, and there were times where they'd probably go, well, we need to make an improve in that area. I thought the clearance work was probably an area they need to improve, particularly centre and around the ground, but moving from one end of the ground to the other to be able to sort of cut through the middle of the ground and maintain possession, I think overall, Matty Nix would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jem. I totally agree with you. I think coming into this game, you're coming up against an opponent which you should play well against and win and dominate, and I thought for big periods of that game, Adelaide were the better side. Thought sort of at half-time from memory around just tidying up a little bit of their efficiency, but in the end, they've still kicked 17 goals, 12 and 114 points, which is a good output in terms of how they want to move the ball and how they want to play in offence. But I guess looking at the other side of the coin and looking at North Melbourne, they're always going to be up against it coming over to Adelaide Oval. They've never won on this ground. They're playing an in-form Adelaide side who have added to their depth over summer, and they look a different outfit to what they did about 6 or 7 months ago. But look, to their credit, they got within 8 points and never were really able to get enough scoreboard pressure to give Adelaide a real fright, and every time they got close, Adelaide in that third quarter were able to respond, but in the end, Adelaide too strong, too good, and they move on for the next 3 games, which will really determine where they're situated in terms of how good they are.
So it's a watching brief for you, isn't it, Josh? There's still a few questions to be answered.
Look, what I will say is that Adelaide can't do any more than they've done, so they can only play against what they play against and what's presented to them in each of the first 3 games that they've played. But again, I don't even know who the footballing personality or identity was that said you can't really judge a side until halfway through the year, almost when everyone's played everyone. But the real challenge will come in those 3 games, you said, Jamo, over the next 3 weeks. And if they can take some scalps and There's some big scalps there if they can possibly do it. Then all of a sudden we start talking seriously about their credentials and their potential and how far they can go throughout the course of the season.
Well, Gold Coast away, and then you got Gather Round here. That's where they'll play Geelong, and then they get GWS at home the following week too. So they've got a reasonable run in terms of where they're at. Then you have a look where the Kangas have to go. They've got Sydney. They've got to come back here for the Gold Coast game in the Gather Round. Then they've got Carlton. Then they do have to revisit Adelaide round 7 here against Port Adelaide 2. But I think for me, the Kangas, the area that they've got Jack Darling up forward, albeit it was 55-47 inside 50s. Adelaide scored 29 times. The Kangas only scored 18. So I think that's where they've probably let themselves down. In all the other areas of the game, that's pretty much the same. They've ended up getting back into the game and winning. And in some cases, when you're isolated, like the clearance work, they actually did better than Adelaide.
The thoughts of Rod Jamieson there. Both of the teams just beginning to line up at the top of the Adelaide race to make a guard of honour for Rory Laird after game 250. 3 times the best and fairest. He is off the rookie list, and what a player he's become for the Adelaide Crows.
There was, I think, Taylor Walker very quickly when they ran at the training. I think they put Garden Gnome all around the oval for him.
And a little baby banner. For those of you listening in various parts of the country, you are about to head off to the Western Derby, number 60.